Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. Tonight we're going to be discussing black-eyed children and the mythology surrounding that. Joining me tonight is Robbie Rains from South Crackalacky, and my son Jordan Munder, Noah Roberts, is joining us tonight.
Hello.
Doc is in Florida teaching a class. Anthony is not feeling well, so if y'all wouldn't mind keeping him in your thoughts and prayers, he is pretty far under the weather. He is feeling pretty sick. And Steve is with family tonight. So, Steve, hope you have fun. Look forward to having you back soon, brother. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Robbie, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, had a nice day of football today. Normal Saturday for me, anyway, during this time.
Looks like we got a pretty big big group in the house already. We're already at 47 people at a minute 51 in, so we're doing pretty good. Cowboys is here. Mark Napier. Hey, Mark.
Hell yeah.
Hey, General Dalton's here. Darcy
Cowboy.
Zwicky. Marty from Nona Boss is here. Hey, Marty. Sugar Britches. Meg Mills. Hi, Meg. Challen Balgas is here. Lene Perkins. Hi, Lene. Sean Patterson. Hey, dude. Robert Forster's here. AJ Congan, hey AJ. John Doe is here. Let's see who else we got. I think that's all the ones I've seen comment so far. Just a quick FYI to everybody that won the patches last week. I had to wait until I got paid, which I get paid on Monday, and I will get those mailed out then. I apologize. I wanted to get them mailed out sooner, but finances being what they were, I had to wait until payday on Monday. So I will get those mailed out to you guys on Monday. Those are on the way. I've got them in envelopes right here waiting to be mailed. As I hope everybody's doing well tonight. We are going to be jumping into this here in just a minute. But before we did, I wanted to do something kind of fun on the air. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Scallywag Tactical. Big shout out to Craig Burhart if you're listening. Craig Burhart's the president and owner of Scallywag Tactical, U.S. Navy veteran, hell of a good guy. Scallywag is veteran owned and operated, and they make some of the best blades I've ever used. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a live unboxing of a couple of the blades I just received. The first one in here, I believe this one. Let me, I'll open it here on the air. Yes, this one is called the Orca. It's a folding blade, partially serrated.
I like that.
It's a nice knife.
It is wicked sharp right out of the box.
Now hold on, Robbie. Now I have to go with the obligatory. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Like knifey spoony, I see.
It's a sword.
Well, here's the thing about this one. I already told Robbie about this one. The Orca is a fantastic blade from Scallywag Tactical. Like I said, razor sharp. I've got so much good luck with all of my Scallywag blades. They are fantastic knives. I cannot say enough good about them. This blade is usually $35. Right now, it is on sale for $12. Yeah, you heard me right. $12. I believe they're about to discontinue that knife. So if you want one, I'd probably be ordering it now.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now would definitely be the time. And I have a second little box that I would like to show. Now I know from the order that this one is called the Sailor Assisted Folder. This one normally retails for $45. It's currently on sale for $25. Also a fantastic knife. So let's get this one open here. This was a little bigger than the last one. Also, a very, very sharp blade. Yeah, I would not want to open that one badly. Hey, Namiri says, hey, DA, we're watching from camp. Hope you guys are having fun out there. I wish I was out there with you. Yeah, this thing is wicked. And it's also on sale. It's $25 right now. I think this is another one of those ones that they may be looking to discontinue. If you can only afford the $12 one, the Orca is a fantastic knife. But I have yet to have a knife from Scallywag that I didn't just love. I've got every folder they've got except for a couple of them. I'm missing the Wahoo and the Blackwater folder. Those are the only two of their folders I haven't managed to acquire, and they are fantastic blades. John Doe says now you can feel a tenth of the power in the hands, claws of a dog man. And while the supplies last, I don't know how many they've got, but at $12 a piece, those things would make awesome Christmas presents. Not quite as good a Christmas presents as books from a certain author I might know, but those are
shameless plug. Let's go.
I'm absolutely shameless about the plugs.
Hey, when you got it, flaunt it, right?
Oh, yeah. True.
But yeah, I just wanted to show those. Those are from the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. Let me show those one more time before we move on, because I'm just really tickled to death with these knives.
Yeah, we know they got one less Orca now.
Yeah. Robbie already ordered one. Again, this one's the Orca.
Robbie went hunting for Orca, and this time it wasn't the dolphin.
Nope.
And this one is called the Sailor Assisted Folder. And
this one does have. I like that one a lot.
This one has like a spring to it, so really, it's all you got to do. Just a little movement of the finger, and that one snaps right open. And beware, this rascal is really sharp. And I really like the Orca, because for those of us that do like that partial serrated blade, this is one of the few that they have that has that. Most of their blades are just straight blades. There's no serration to them. That's one of the ones that's really cool. The feature about that, having that partial serrated blade, and it's $12. I mean, even with shipping, what it cost you, $20, Robbie?
Yeah, $26.11, I think.
So shipping costs more than the knife itself.
Yeah, it did. Shipping was like the cheapest shipping they had was more than the knife.
Hell, man, I bought suits that the shipping was more expensive than the suit was.
I got the two at the same time, so I just bought those. I mean, I had to have them, especially when I saw they were on sale. But I think the shipping for the two of them was only like $10, something like that. Norton Nipier's assisted folder, yeah, that I don't know if you could almost call it that, because it is stupid easy to open. I mean, watch how little pressure I put on there with my finger.
But it is like a fully manual close. So.
Yeah, it is a full manual close. Just absolutely beautiful knives. Want a big shout out to those guys over at Scallywag Tactical. That's scallywagtactical.com. Check out all of the blades. They've got some incredible knives. Not all of them folders. Some of their fixed blades are just freaking amazing knives. Actually, every knife I got from, and I've got several. Every knife I have from them is just a wonderful piece of craftsmanship. And if you have any problems with it, they're really quick to respond and get that either repaired or replaced.
Do they make their own stuff? How does
some of them they do, and then some of the ones that are like what they call the privateer line, I think they have those made to spec. But these blades are all designed in house.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let me turn on my freaking fan. It is hot as hell in here. Yeah, I wanted to jump in and show that. I was kind of excited to unbox those on the air, because, how often do I get to showcase one I'm literally taking out of the box? So, yeah, we'll shut up about Scallywag now and get moving on. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with these, as you can tell.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, God. You know how I am with knives, Noah. How I've always been. I don't know if I should keep the boxes or not. I mean, there's nothing special about them. They're just cardboard, so I guess I'll just chuck those. But, yeah, those are damn good additions to my collection. All right. Well, we're going to be discussing black-eyed children. So you two done your homework?
What I can.
Yeah. There's really.
There's not a
There's
ton
stuff out there,
about
but it's
them
more
out.
on the. There's more on the movies that are about
Right,
them that I
yeah.
found than it was about the actual urban legend itself. I mean, there's stuff, but it seems like every search engine that I put it in, and every way I searched it, it would bring up the movies before it would bring up anything
Well,
like any
I
meat and
found a lot of
potatoes
stuff
about
on
the.
YouTube about them. The thing is some people say it's a creepypasta. Some people call it an urban legend. Yet sightings of these things are persisting. Of course, that same thing can be said for Slender Man. That was 100% made up creepypasta, but yet people around the world are reporting seeing it. And what do they call that, Noah? When
Tulpa.
people a tulpa. That's right. When enough people believe in something that it starts to manifest. Um, so yeah, John Doe says black-eyed children are a modern urban legend. Yeah, again, the sightings seem to persist. Um,
It's like Spring-Heeled Jack was an urban legend. I mean, it's the same thing with technically Bigfoot's an urban legend. You know, it's not anything that anyone has any definitive proof of, but I mean, it can still be amassing sightings.
yes. Um, I think Bigfoot has gone beyond urban legend with the thousands upon thousands sightings,
I mean,
casts, and videos. But
well, until somebody brings
Yeah.
one in dead, I don't think anyone's going to be able to give them any status other than urban legend.
you may have a point there. But one of the first known reports came, I think it was like 1996, from a reporter
Yep.
in Abilene, Texas, who said that they approached his car. I believe it was an older boy and a younger boy. And the way these are reported is anywhere from between like 6 and like 16 years old, or young kids, and they wanted in his car. And he cracked his window and was talking to him, and they kept asking him to let him in the car. And for whatever reason, he didn't. But well, obviously, they had completely black eyes. He ended up
That would
not
be my
letting them in
reason.
the car and drove off. But he said it just unnerved him to the point that he couldn't explain why he felt. He said he almost felt compelled to just unlock the doors and let him in, even against his mind saying, "Don't let him in, don't let him in the car." So I don't know what the origin of these things can be.
He
Yeah,
passed his wisdom save.
yeah, he made his wisdom check. There's another story, however, of a couple that let them in. This was in the middle of nowhere in Maine during a snowstorm. A man and woman were asleep in bed around 2 a.m. and they heard somebody just banging on the door. So they went down. Husband and wife both went down. They opened the door and there was this boy and a young girl. And I think the boy was supposedly around 10. The girl looked like she was younger, around 8. And they had their heads down and wouldn't make eye contact. They just kept their heads down like this. And they said they were cold and asked to come inside. And even though the man and woman didn't feel like it was the right thing to do to let them in, against their better judgment, they did. So they let these kids in. The husband takes the kids into the living room while the wife goes into the kitchen to make hot cocoa for everybody, to try to warm everybody up. She comes back in with the hot cocoa, and well, one, the kids don't drink it, and the husband is just sitting in the chair across from him, holding his face in his hands like this. He's not looking up. He's not talking. And that's when she noticed they had 4 cats. That's when she noticed the cats wouldn't go near these kids. In fact, the only one that stayed anywhere nearby was in the kitchen, underneath the kitchen table, crouched down, fluffed up, and growling low, real low, like growling low at these kids, but they wouldn't go anywhere near them. And they said that was completely out of character for the cats, because the cats were generally all over whoever visited the house. So she tries to talk to the kids, and they said, "Kids, can we call your parents?" And they said, "Don't worry, they'll be here soon." Which, that to me right there would be like, how the hell do they know where you're at, and how do we know they're coming here? But the children asked to use the bathroom, and she told them it was down the hall. So the kids looked up at her when they went to stand up, and that's when she saw the black eyes. So kids go down the hall toward the bathroom. She asks her husband, "Did you see that?" And he looks up and moves his hands, and he's got blood gushing from his nose. And he said he just felt sick and disoriented. Well, about that time, the power goes out. So she decides to go down the hallway to check on the kids. She can barely see. She's like feeling her way along the walls, and she finds these kids standing in the hallway, blocking her way to the bathroom. And so she backed off real quick, and the kids walked down the hallway, opened the door, and started outside. And it was still snowing. Well, she said she watched them walk down the porch, and to a pair of adults that were standing at the end of the driveway, dressed all in black. And the kids went to them. They got in some sort of vehicle and drove off. Well, she shuts the door, takes and tries to get her husband aroused, rouse him from his stupor, and ends up taking him to the doctor. Well, they diagnose her husband with an extremely rare form of skin cancer, the kind that people that bake in tanning beds all the time get, but the guy had never used one. And then she started getting nosebleeds, but apparently she wouldn't go into I guess they were very personal things that started happening to her. She wouldn't give away that what it was that was happening to her. So they started both having severe health problems after that. Well, she takes her husband home from the hospital. They get home, and 3 of their 4 cats are gone. They can't find them, and they find the 4th one in a puddle of blood.
Its own blood.
Yeah, its own blood. It's dead. It has been killed.
I don't want to dig too deep into it, but if anyone's looking for the story, you said that it was in Washington, but I was
no, it was in Maine.
I'm looking at the same story right now. It says Vermont.
Vermont? Okay, well, I knew it was up in New England somewhere, but it was in the middle of nowhere.
It's the exact same story that you were just talking about, but it says Vermont.
My bad, I had the wrong state.
I mean, New England.
Yeah, New England.
All those tiny states up there.
Stephen King puts everything in Maine, so I just have to
figure it was a good shot for
I was close.
And according to this, when the kids went outside, it was 2 men at the end of the driveway. Very tall and slender men. Apparently she had waved at them, but they just ignored her. People think that the children could have been aliens, they could have been vampires, or just like ghosts, whatever. Personally, I think they were just malevolent spirits. But
that doesn't explain them getting into a car and leaving, especially with what essentially sounds like Men in Black.
I mean, I don't know, man.
This is the urban legend, a creepypasta. I can't attest to the truth of that story I just related, but I found the story very compelling. However, we have no idea what these things are.
Well, you also gotta think about how when the mind is under stress, it will make things rational. So seeing those kids walk down the driveway and then seeing a car drive off, be like, oh, okay, the kids got into the car. But if it was dark and snowy, you have no way of telling that the kids got into that car. It could have just been a car passing by.
True.
So those kids could have just walked down the driveway and disappeared. Those tall, slender men at the end of the driveway could have been a couple of trees that got blown over or something. Those kids could have just walked down the end of the driveway and just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, she was stressed out, freaking out. Her husband was bleeding from the nose.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she probably was not having the most rational train of thought at that time. And like Noah said, her mind being under as much stress, it looked for, whatever made the most sense at that particular moment.
Mark Napier asks, is in most reports, are the whites of their eyes completely black? Yeah, the entirety of their eye is black. The iris, the pupil, everything completely black.
And not like some Coraline stuff where like the eyes are buttons. It's like the eyes are actually like black.
Paul?
Yeah, pretty much. And somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat. Pretty much
could they be related to the Fae or Jinn? Maybe. Well, there's there are quite a few sightings of these things around the country, and I believe there's a few from other countries as well. But as to what they are, we don't know. Um, that the one from Vermont story just kind of sticks with me, because if they weren't hallucinating, if they weren't just under stress, if they got in a vehicle, to me that almost, I don't know, it sounds like if those were men in black, like they were, maybe the government was testing something.
Maybe.
I know I don't have a whole lot of trust for the government anymore, so I wouldn't put it past them.
That's one of those parts of it that I'm not going to dismiss, but I'm not going to operate as if that was something that happened on account of, like I said, under stress, your brain will rationalize things, will put things together to try to make sense of it, right? Only on account of, I mean, I have like a ton of experience with ghosts and whatnot, and I know what a lot of spirits are capable of. To me, it seems like definitely, I mean, obviously some sort of malevolent spirit, but honestly, like something not necessarily demonic, because demons are usually pretty territorial, but I mean, something along that vein. You know what I mean?
Well, people that have encountered them have described the feeling as being overwhelmingly evil, or they had that sixth sense, the part of their brain saying, "Don't open the door, don't let them in."
Right? Yeah.
Could that be something similar to the old vampire legends, that you had to invite them in before they had power over you?
That's kind of where the people who think they might be vampires comes from. Is if you don't invite them in, they don't come in.
Could they be psychic vampires?
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out.
Or they could be something far more sinister. The people that from Vermont might have just been very lucky. The things left after only doing minor damage. How do we know how many times people have let them in and we just never heard about it?
Yeah,
because they were just gone.
My thing with thinking that they may be like some sort of. Go ahead, Rebby. I've been talking a lot. Go right ahead.
The kind of the energy vampire and the thing with the cats, and maybe the cat kind of drove them off. That kind of. I hate to bring up the movie Sleepwalkers, but that was kind of that premise of that movie. Is they were energy vampires, and they had a weakness to cats. So maybe there is something to that. I mean, that movie was a Stephen King cocaine fueled off the rails thing. But
my thing with it is like,
but
for it to have been able to like that dude seemed pretty healthy from what she was like describing, right? Yeah. But then suddenly he just started having like a horrendous nosebleed in their presence. They killed the lights. Like that's classic signs of like something demonic, right?
Yeah, they said the power came back on about a half hour after they left.
They killed the power, right? And they had an imposing presence, right? And when they left the front door open.
Yes.
They just walked out and left the front door open, right? But not only that, for them to be able to cause diseases, that thing has to be powerful. Yeah. In order for a spirit like that to have given somebody aggressive, like
a rare form of cancer
in the nose or whatever, that is insane.
Red Dirt Cryptid Investigation says, "What's a psychic vampire?" We discussed this at length on our vampire episode we did about a week ago. But basically, there's two types of vampires that are believed to be operating in the world today. There's the sanguinary, and then there's the psychic. Sanguinary feed on blood. Psychic vampires draw energy from you. If you've ever been around somebody that just sucked the life out of you, it's kind of that thing. Like you just having a great day, and you talk to the wrong person, and then suddenly you're just extremely wiped out. That could be a case of where something has physically drained your energy.
Sounds like my ex.
Yeah. Yeah, human bodies are powered by electricity. I mean, the little sparks that fire your neurons from your brain throughout the nervous system, those are little impulses of energy, and like any other energy source, they can be drawn off of. So psychic vampires feed on that type of energy.
To kind of fall back into the black-eyed children
Mhm.
thing a little bit. From what I'm reading here, it's only briefly mentioned, but apparently there have been a few sightings of the children showing up with black-eyed dogs as well.
Really, that's a
Mhm.
new one. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
The ones
it's
I heard just reported the kids.
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
briefly
I
mentioned
just-
in this passage here.
That's kind of terrifying that there'd
kinda
be
like
black-eyed animals as well.
that maybe just like a one-off.
Yeah, it looks like it was just in
It
one
just happened that one time.
experience, but mhm.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, everybody in the chat too. What do you think? You think they could be some form of psychic vampire? Do you think they're some sort of demon?
What-
Do you think they're alien? I mean, I'm personally, I'm kind of leaning toward demonic.
I'm leaning towards demonic as well. I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
would-
don't have a lot of experience
I
with
would
demons.
go
but-
that route too. I would say demonic.
I think that there's something definitively evil about them.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Um,
You know, when we talk about psychic vampires, if that is what they are, you know, some say vampires are evil, but a lot of people don't describe vampires as just pure evil. Like I've read most of these accounts about the way they felt about these black-eyed children. So that's why I would lean more towards the demonic side of it, because I never saw anybody describe them as, oh well, they were okay, they were kind of. It was these things were out to hurt you, and they were pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would stay on that side of the fence with it versus being some type of vampire.
Red Dirt Cryptid said, I've heard sometimes they are wearing clothes from past eras. Ooh.
Yes,
Well,
I've heard that
that puts
too.
a whole different twist on it. That can make them like an evil haunting or an evil spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a kind of an interesting look at it. If they
That's
are,
another.
is it some sort of
That's
is
so
it
that's
a revenant?
that's another thing where it's not like, but that's not an every occurrence type thing. It's just
right.
a few of them within all these occurrences. They've been like that. So it's in every single one of them they have that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
one's here to count one. So
Mm-hmm.
is that something that they're just maybe they're picking up on something with the people that they're actually haunting or whatever? I mean, are they picking up something from them that causes them to be perceived the way they're being perceived?
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Rod.
This is just not one of those things that there's a lot of information on.
There's no easy.
Normally we say there's no experts. It's all speculation. This is out in that this is all speculation because there's just not there's not enough out there to really form a good opinion about anything really.
Mark Napier says, question, in the first report, weren't the children wearing hoodies? Yes, the one from the reporter from Abilene, Texas, they were wearing hoodies. Had the hoods up and kind of pulled down over their faces. And a lot of the stories, they are very similarly dressed with something obstructing their face.
I've actually, I'm trying to find some of the reports on it. And I found one or two. But I've actually heard about these being encountered a lot in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if I can find what the actual like Spanish name for them is, we might be able to shed a little bit more light on them, or
Or
like
at least find more lore.
Right, or what? Find what the counterpart is in Mexico. Dad, I think your camera locked up. You good?
I'm getting that same error that I get on my graphics.
Okay.
Thing. It's back now.
But yeah, like if we can find what the counterpart in Mexico is, then we might be able to shed a little bit more light on it. But similar situation. This story is a similar situation to that one that happened in Vermont. In a modest neighborhood in Tijuana, late afternoon, March 2016, Maria was getting ready to start dinner as she always did at that time. 2 children showed up on her doorstep about 10 years old, knocking incessantly, a boy and a girl with their heads slightly downward, wearing what appeared to be handmade clothing. From what Maria could tell, the children had very pale skin and very even features. Even though they spoke perfect Spanish, she knew these kids were not from her neighborhood. Maria thought to call her 3 children to the door, who were about the same age as the 2 standing before her, but something told her not to. She then asked if they were lost and where their parents were. The 2 strange children replied with their original request for water and permission to enter the house. Maria asked them again if they were lost, and the girl of the 2 repeated, "No, we want to come in." Maria was at a loss as to what to do. It was when she grabbed her phone to call her husband that the 2 children finally looked up. What Maria saw filled her with terror. After making eye contact with them, she screamed while instinctively slamming the door. The 2 children had solid black eyes, something Maria had never experienced before. The sight of them had so disturbed this Mexican housewife that she couldn't speak of it for days. Maria was not the only sighting of what has been termed the black-eyed children in Tijuana that year. In fact, the same sort of thing had been happening throughout Mexico, from northern Baja to the Yucatan, since about the year 2002, apparently.
Wow.
Apparently
so it has been going on longer than in more places. I just sent you the error
I guess we can kind of rule.
It's done it twice now. Robbie, you kind of glitched out there for a second.
I think Robbie's lagging.
So I guess we can rule possession out of this.
I think
so. It's like
I think whatever they are, it's an entity unto itself. And here's the creepy part that I think the timing for this is good. Here's something that should really bother us. When it comes to children coming to your door, especially children who are lost, it's our instincts as parents, as adults, to try to protect these kids. So our first instinct is to let them in, to protect them. But it's the weird factor that that makes the sightings bizarre. The really part that's where we connect the dots here is, how many of us are going to be opening our doors to strange kids in the next couple of days?
Yeah.
And if a little kid says, "Can I come in and use the bathroom?"
That puts a whole Nah, sorry. I don't have a bathroom.
Yeah, perhaps we should just keep all that candy and turn the porch light out. My wife and I went a little overboard. We bought a crap ton of candy.
That's fine. I will eat all of it.
And we get I don't know why, we get 5 trick-or-treaters every year. That's it.
Yeah, I don't even remember the last time I had a trick-or-treater come to my house. But
well, you live out in the boonies.
Yeah, Robbie, they show up at your house, they're gonna be scared.
Yeah, but if you get strange kids knocking on your door in the middle of the night, I'd be a little worried. A.R. Harris, as I said out front with my dog in my 1911. Darkwood says, if they show up trick or treating here, I'd give them blessed candy and holy water to quench their thirst.
I've got another report here. In early March of 2015, in the opposite end of the Mexican Republic from Tijuana, a spate of sightings of Los Becs, which is what they refer to the black-eyed children as. It's kind of a Texican word for it. It is not actually a Spanish word. Bex is not. But anyway, this in Merida, or however you pronounce it, I don't know, the centuries-old capital of the state of Yucatan. According to an article found in Milenio Novedades, the sightings began with 2 appearances of the children in 2 different areas in the city. In the Mexico and something neighborhoods. In each case, the mysterious kids appeared on the doorsteps of private homes asking for water if they could come into the houses. The children in both cases fit the standard black-eyed kids description and caused great distress in those who experienced them. On Sunday, March 7th, 2 separate instances involving these children occurred in a cemetery. Juana Solis was at the graveyard with her 3 daughters leaving flowers at the tomb of a relative who had recently passed. A small boy with black eyes approached them asking for water. When they turned around, the boy had disappeared. Later that day, a man identified as Pedro saw 2 children fitting the appropriate description in the same cemetery, but he had no interaction with them, and they vanished as quickly as they had appeared.
So that's an encounter with them, not at the door or trying to get in your car. They were just in a cemetery. Well, that adds another dimension to it.
Maybe maybe they the way they work has something to do with like you give them something and they give you something in return.
Maybe. It does seem kind of odd that there's so many accounts of them asking for water specifically.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. They may be, malevolent beings, and you give them water and they give you stage 4 cancer or something like that.
Well, it seems to be the case with the I don't know if it was stage 4, but it was certainly a violent strand of very rare cancer in Vermont.
You give them a cup of water and they give you a stroke, something.
Well, that's kind of terrifying too. I for one wouldn't let them in.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, at least I like to think I wouldn't.
I mean, that's because you're a crotchety old man.
That kind of goes back to the whole thing. It goes back to if you let them in, does that give them the power over you? Because it seems like if they had that kind of power, it wouldn't matter whether you let them in or not. They could do. But there's nobody's had any kind of other than that story. Right, nobody that's had a sighting and hadn't let them in. They've had no adverse effects, right? That has been reported anyway.
Yeah, and that's.
John Doe's got a good point. He says
give them the power.
It's probably just okay. We need to pretend to be humans. What do humans like? Humans are organic beings. They need to drink, right? Yeah, they like water. Let's ask for water.
That sounds like
it's like
some really disconnected aliens.
If they show up at your door and ask for Diet Pepsi, they're not human. No human likes Diet Pepsi.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Dad thinks that if you have diabetes, you're not human.
No, it's specifically Diet Pepsi. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever drank next to Zima's.
I don't know what that is.
That was a clear alcohol that some genius came up with in the 80s, and it was
Zima.
It was the precursor to modern-day White Claw.
Dude, ugh. I can't drink White Claw. It's just it's so bad. Yeah, but I'm not finding a lot about the black-eyed children.
Yeah, I can't. There's not really enough to say whether or not this is just a creepypasta, just plain an urban legend. But there are these sightings.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. Kokoratzis. There we go. Says, I wonder if black-eyed kids are afraid of clowns. Maybe.
Or
says, Bobby, black-eyed kids creep you out like dolls.
I mean, if I lived out in the middle of the woods like Robbie, I mean, like if some black-eyed kid showed up on my porch, I'd be pretty against it. I don't want to see that shit.
That's why I have
Go
dogs.
Home. You live in the country, you just get nervous anytime somebody knocks on the door, let alone whether
Yeah.
whether it's somebody you know or not.
What are you knocking on my door for?
I get more agitated because I have to get up.
John Doe says it isn't a creepypasta if that's true that the first report came in 1996, as that predates the concept of creepypastas. They're very true. The first known recorded sighting is from 1996 from that reporter from Abilene, Texas. But I remember a story my grandmother told me about a weird stranger knocking on her door. This was back during the Great Depression. She didn't mention anything about black eyes, but it was a guy. It was an adult male who wanted her to let him in the house, wanted her to invite him in, and it creeped her out. And she shut the door and locked it because she was home alone with the kids while her husband was at work. Well, my grandfather was at work. Yeah, but that story just it sticks with me. She said because there was just something off about the guy, and she wouldn't let him in. So, but she didn't say anything about him having black eyes. So I wonder if there might have been other sightings longer ago where people just didn't know what to call them. Red Dirt Cryptid says Blurry Creatures podcast did an episode on them. I might have to check that out. Deacon Prepper says my 2 mastiffs prevent anyone from knocking on my door. We've got a pit bull, but he's a big chicken. So if somebody knocks on the door, he's going to bark like crazy until we let him in.
That's another thing about that story from Vermont that kind of sets me towards the more like demonic side of things, because the cats were freaking out about them, didn't want to be anywhere near them, right?
Yeah.
And animals are very, very perceptive to that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
why I don't necessarily trust, people's reactions. But if the dog's freaking out about somebody, I tend to trust that.
Yeah, and it's like, if cats are usually pretty nonchalant about that sort of thing. So, I mean, like, if the cats are leaving the room to get away from them, those things have to be really bugging those cats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because cats don't generally pay attention to most things anyway. I mean, it's like I read a little meme said, cat recognize 249 commands. They just don't care or don't want to do them or something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that because doesn't matter what you call a cat, it ain't coming anyway.
Got another story from Mexico here back in 2012.
Okay.
A resident of a small town in the Mexican state of Colima, Valeria was very tired one day after spending hours in class and the rest of her day at a part-time job at a factory. In the early evening, she heard a knock at her door, a very persistent knock. She opened her door to see standing before her a boy of about 4 or 5 years old, looking down and muttering the words "mama," or muttering the word "mama." So this time it looks like there's only one child. Valeria asked the child questions: was he lost? Where were his parents? Etc. Thinking the boy's caretakers must have been somewhere close by, Valeria took the boy by the hand and started to walk away from the house towards the road. She was surprised how cold the boy's hand was, but it was February and they were higher up in elevation. It was cold at the time of day, so she didn't think much of it. After about 8 steps toward the road, the child let go of Valeria's hand and then looked at her with his completely black eyes. When her eyes met his, Valeria let out a scream and started to run. The kid ran in the other direction. It took her days for her life to feel normal. She never saw the child again.
Red Dirt Cryptid says cats are demonic. You'd think they'd like the kids. It's not wrong.
I don't mind cats.
That would make you wonder if they came to your door and you had one of those Ring doorbell cameras, would it pick them up?
If they're corporeal enough to where you can see them with the naked eye, the camera is going to pick them up.
It's not necessarily true. People have spoken to ghosts and thought they were real people, then they didn't show up on camera. But the converse is true too. People have taken pictures of an area and not seen anything, and then the ghosts show up on camera. So I don't know how that works.
It's got to be a very specific type of ghost, if I remember correctly, for them to not show up on camera but show up in person.
Attilio Panin says black-eyed children on the highways across the states.
That's what I was about to bring up. You know, me and my buddies, or me and somebody, a dad can attest to this. We've gone on road trips all over the place. I've been to Louisiana. I've been to Michigan. I've been as far west as New Mexico at one point, and as far east as Florida, or well, I guess South Carolina with the family. Um, but you know, we've in all these drives, you know, we've seen people walking on the side of the road, and as we passed by, we were like, that was weird. And we'll look in the rear view and they just won't be there anymore. You know, we've seen children doing that. And you know, just the other day, Dad, you remember the girl in the raincoat I saw outside the house?
Yeah.
The other day, we were just Mom and I were talking in the living room, and it was raining outside. It was raining, and I wanted to see how hard it was raining. I was trying to remember exactly what was going on, and I peeked out the window and looked out there, and I saw this girl walking in this old yellow raincoat. I couldn't see her face because her head was down, but she was just walking up the middle of the street. And Mom said something to me, and I looked back behind the blinds and said something back to her. And that's when it processed, like, why is somebody wearing one of those old rubber raincoats? Like, we have better raincoats nowadays. And I looked back out there and she was gone. Literally a split second thought, like, wait, what the hell was that? Look back outside, she's gone.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that just, what was it, a couple days ago?
Yeah, it was only a few days ago.
Yeah, it was when it was raining. Monster Radio. Yeah, we'll definitely schedule the Genoska show after we get through that Halloween stuff. I'm excited to do that too. I want to send me a link to the Devil Monkey show because I definitely want to make sure I catch that. I like the Devil Monkey stuff. We want to be doing shows on that ourselves here in the not so distant future. There we go. Attilio Pampanen says married couple tractor trailer drivers got woke up by 3 black-eyed children near the Black Hills. Huh.
And I wonder if it's something similar to like a poltergeist kind of deal. You know, we we're seeing pairs of children, but not exclusively. You know, we're seeing like was just said. You know, 3 black-eyed children. You know, the story I just read, 1 black-eyed children. You know,
rarely
one,
do they
one
appear
black-eyed
singular.
child. Yeah, it's like
usually in twos.
Right, but we have different variations of the number of children, right? We have 1 to 3 at this point, right? So I wonder if it might be like children who have died a violent death, and since
died alone,
they either died a violent death and died alone, which would explain the singular one, or they died like they're siblings, you know, and somebody killed them. And since they know each other, they just kind of stay with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can kind of see that. I'll even, what Monster Radio said is, I wonder if these black-eyed kids are all tied to the kids who died during the Depression and such. Maybe they're wayward spirits of sorts.
Could be.
Yeah, the thing is we don't know. There's just not enough information.
Are not able to, but most spirits aren't able to really affect, you know, us as humans, though, right?
Right.
It depends. I mean, like, take a poltergeist for example. You know, you have a poltergeist like loose in somebody's house, and it'll throw shit all over the place. It'll cut them. It'll slice them. You know, it'll hurt people. Poltergeists aren't demons. They're just very aggressive, malevolent spirits.
Right. Wasn't Aaron and some of them saying that poltergeist is different than a spirit?
Yeah.
All these things are different. Like, if you got a poltergeist, you don't necessarily have a ghost of someone's. You know, it could be a spirit, but these are if these black-eyed children are spirits of dead people that are dead children that have gone. I seem to say that or remember that. You know, that most spirits like that can't actually harm us. They can, you know, scare us or whatever, but they can't actually harm us. A couple in Vermont.
Well, that case in Vermont.
So that's
yeah, he's definitely harmed.
Yeah, that goes back to the demonic thing because we know demons can hurt people. So, that to me that just strengthens that connection that it's
right.
something demonic, not just a wandering spirit or a poltergeist or anything like that. If it's something that's specifically wanting to harm people, which is what it seems wanting to do, I think that just lends credence to the whole demon.
I agree with that. Chairman
Just
Meow
my opinion,
says,
anyway.
I know demons sometimes present as children, though because people, grown folks, feel empathy toward kids sometimes. And I kind of think that's the case here. I think they're banking on people feeling sorry for them, feeling protective. There was something else I wanted to comment on. David Lester says, just tuned in. Is it known if anyone has ever challenged these black-eyed kids, people, as to who they are, why they are here, or ever been touched by one? People have asked them questions, and they don't really give any answers. In the case of the people in Vermont, she asked where their parents were, and they said the reply was they'll be here soon. I don't know if that was a delaying tactic or if there were other entities on the way, but they I don't know. I still just my gut says these are something just evil. So,
yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree, but my thing is I don't want to rule out anything. You know what I mean? On account of how little evidence we have, what it could be.
Attilio says Black Hills kids were asking for water like 3 a.m. The couple took off, scared the hell out of them. It was over 20 years ago or something. And the paint on the tractor had dark slime on it. Huh? And that was over 20 years ago. Oh, then again, 1996 was over 20 years ago. I seem to forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
my
I forget that all the time.
The actual day I was born more than 20 years ago.
Chairman Meow says, if you let it in, is that like the movie where the vampire has to be let inside? We were asking that, wondering that ourselves. I think there's something significant to them asking to be let in. I think it gives a certain amount of power over you if you let them in. Monster Radio says there could be an interdimensional connection, hence the black eyes. Could be they can't form eyes like we have. What were you saying, Robbie? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I haven't heard a single story where people have either drove off or not let them in. None of those people have had any kind of ill effects, but the one story that we have where they've let them in, they both ended up. I think that's part of their power.
Yeah, I think.
Not to mention that when they got let in, or rather the ones they got let in, also killed the power without going anywhere near the box.
Mm-hmm. And it stayed off for half an hour. I would be curious to know if the power went out on the block or just at their house. But it did say they lived in the middle of nowhere, so hard to say.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, it was snowing, so the snow could have knocked the power out. But I mean, like, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's going to take several hours for your utility company to get out there and fix that. Versus if somebody, or if they just, like, knocked the power out while they were there, the power will just come back on shortly after they leave.
Mark Napier's got a good point. We can't get reports from dead people. So I wonder if there are cases of people that let them in that just vanished or died because of letting them in. And I know law enforcement, you get calls of unattended deaths all the time. And most of the time it's just natural causes. Yeah, somebody or suicide. Only the coroner can tell you. It's not like we as cops can go in and go, yeah, these were killed by having all their energy drained. And maybe that could cause like a heart attack or a stroke. And maybe that's their energy dips too low and their body just shuts off. Especially in those cases where they just say natural causes because they don't have a clue what it was that killed them. Robbie, you froze up, brother. You're mean mugging the camera.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but you're mean mugging the camera.
I don't know why it's froze up then.
I don't
But
know. Might be
I'm
on my
pulling
end.
an
'Cause
Anthony.
my
I guess I gotta
computer's
be.
acting wonky.
I gotta be Anthony tonight. I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. You know, who's to say that they're even spirits or anything like that? You know, like we could be dealing with like actual like witchcraft or voodoo. You know, we could be
We
dealing
don't know
with
what
something
they
along that line as well. You know, it could be some sort of curse. You know what I mean?
Well, if they come to your door, I think you definitely have something evil on your property, evil wanting let in. So even if they're like a minor demon or just a malevolent spirit, a revenant, whatever they are, be they alien or extra dimensional, again, we don't know. People have described that feeling of being in the presence of something evil, that being terrified of these things once they saw the black eyes. So I think it's safe to say that they're definitely malevolent, whatever they are. Um, Again, I would lean towards some sort of demonic possession or demon manifestation,
I would as
um,
well.
especially since they're preying on our innate, our innate desire to protect children. We're kind of hardwired that way.
I get the hiccups from my coffee.
You all right?
I'll be fine.
And this one's one of the creepier ones. And again, since Halloween's just 2 days away, how many of us are going to be open the door to strange kids all night long?
Yeah,
Monster Radio's got a good point. Says the whole black eye thing could come from the absence of a soul. Eyes are the windows to the soul. We just lost Robbie. AJ says DA is that Margolin's favorite shirt. Yes, it is. It is Embrace the Suck.
Yeah, and it's like, I think, I personally think it's something demonic, but we can't rule out anything. You know what I mean? Like, there's the possibility that it could be witchcraft. There's the possibility that it could be, a malevolent spirit of some kind. And I got to be honest. I don't buy into the spirits can't hurt you kind of thing because
Yeah. Well, that cemetery you and I went to, there's dozens of reports of that cemetery of people being shoved and scratched.
Right.
It didn't happen to us, but
the Queen Mary ship, thousands of reports of ghost sightings there, and a lot of them include women being shoved. That's not a demonic presence aboard the Queen Mary. That's ghosts. A little closer to home for us. The was it the Half Moon Hotel or whatever it is, Crescent Moon. The one down there,
the Crescent Hotel.
Yeah. There's a lot of reports of people being shoved and scratched there.
There was a lady that reported that she was laying on her bed and felt a hand run up her leg.
Yeah, it's like spirits can definitely hurt you, and I'm not one of those people that buys into that. If you have something like a poltergeist that can throw things at you, you obviously have spirits that can definitely hurt you. So I mean, we can't rule out that it's a malevolent spirit, because it definitely could be.
Right.
Like I was saying earlier, could be children who died violent deaths, and if there's a pair of them, they died a violent death together. They could be demonic. They could be this. They could be that. Like we don't know. And I genuinely, from my end, it feels demonic. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different variables to it that we just don't have the evidence to conclude anything from. If I experience something firsthand, if we have some black-eyed kids knock on our door, then maybe that'll shed more light on it for me. But
well, I keep going back to that Vermont account.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we can dismiss there being people waiting at the end of the driveway, the men in black that she waved at. We can dismiss that as being, something she imagined under stress. But what if it's not? How many accounts of men in black have been linked to possible alien visitation. I mean, what if they're tracking them? What if they're monitoring these things and they know exactly what they are?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not, I don't want to say definitively that they didn't get picked up by some tall, slender men, because I don't know. I don't know that. My only thing for operating under the idea that there wasn't a car there is that they already stated that it was like 3 a.m. They stated that it was snowing. So, I mean, visibility is going to be super limited.
Not necessarily. I mean, look how bright it seems outside when it's middle of the night and snowing. Just the ambient light around you makes everything easy to see. I mean, I've got pictures I've taken in our backyard, 2:00 in the morning with snow on the ground, and the whole yard's easy to see.
But I mean, regardless, I like I said, I don't want to dismiss that there may have been a car down there, but even if there wasn't a car down there and there was just people down there, there was something waiting for them that could add to it. You know what I mean? There could be, this could be like some sort of like, I don't know, family, like a family of spirits, or yeah, or it could be like, a higher level demon showing the lower level ones what to do, or something like that. We don't know. We don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was answering a question real quick. One of the mods sent me a message. And Robbie's having to reboot his system. He's having trouble getting back in.
And the fact that these are sightings that are occurring pretty far away from each other. We have sightings in Vermont. We have sightings in Texas. We have sightings in Mexico. Like it's clear that it's not just like one specific region. Like there's some sort of common phenomena here.
Hey, you made it back.
Lovely technology.
It's like I always said when I worked on computers all the time. Technology is both the love of my life and the bane of my existence.
And I didn't change anything. It just stopped, and I had to restart everything, re-enable cameras. Open.
Well, we're still having issues with my computer, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to narrow that in to see what's going on.
Well, I sent you the screen cap of the.
I'm hoping that when I go in there and reseat your graphics card, I'm hoping that fixes it. I wonder if it's just like a poor connection. We do need to get you one of those stands for your graphics card, so we don't accidentally bend the PCIe port.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Black-Eyed Kids. I find it interesting that there's corroboration from Mexico where they've got a similar phenomenon. I wonder if there's a similar type of thing going on in other countries that we're just not hearing about. I mean, like take for example La Llorona. In the United States, we refer to it as a woman in white, but it's essentially the same phenomenon, and it's known throughout Latin America. So when you make the connection between a woman in white and La Llorona, it opens up a much bigger can of worms there.
I seem to remember hearing one about black-eyed children in Russia, but I don't have that one up, and I'm trying to find it. I'll let you know if I do.
Papa Bear says there are reports in the UK.
There are reports in the UK. That's that further corroboration. It's at that point. At that point, we can say that it's a worldwide phenomenon because it's happening in some of the most northernmost points of the United States. It's happening in the southern points. It's happening in Mexico. It's happening in the UK.
I at that point, reading one in Alaska too.
That wouldn't be surprising. Alaska's terrifying. as far as paranormal stuff goes, Alaska is kind of a melting pot of all of that shit.
Yeah, they seem to get all the weird shit rolled into one in Alaska.
Yeah, it's like it's like, hey, let's go to Alaska. We're gonna go to this forest that's like, despite it not being in the Arctic Circle, it's still absolute darkness 24/7. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys have fun with that. I'm not going to that. Well, why not?
Werewolf 5674 says check out Japan. That kind of strikes a chord with me because remember the original Ring and the original Grudge. Those ghosts were portrayed as having completely black eyes. Is that a Japanese cultural thing, or were those specific?
There's a lot of black eyes in Japanese folklore.
That forest in Japan.
Suicide Forest.
Yeah,
the one around Fuji.
There was something about black eyes in that forest. If I remember that episode.
I'd like to track that down. I'd like to watch that episode.
I might be wrong, but I just about swear that there was something about ghosts having black eyes.
I would love to get Josh Gates on here. That would just be awesome.
Man, that'd be a hilarious show, but it would be awesome.
Okay. I'm looking up Japanese ghost children right now. And I'll let you know
while you're looking that up, I'm going to use this moment to enjoy a Reese's cup that I stole from the Trick or Treat candy.
I may have to go grab myself a few candies. I need something sweet, man.
It's a Reese's Bat.
We've been having a lot of spicy food here lately, and I love spicy food, but I need something sweet,
Yeah, your mom's killing me with all the everyday Thai. I couldn't even finish mine tonight. It was so freaking hot.
It's so good, though.
Oh, I love everyday Thai, but that was particularly hot.
For those out of the loop here, we have a Thai restaurant near us called Everyday Thai, and
food's amazing.
The food is very, very good, but the Thai ladies that cook the food sometimes, when you ask for hot, you get hot.
And that kid right there has been challenging me to go hotter and hotter, and I think I've reached my comfort zone. Oh my God, that was hot.
Yeah, I every now and then I'll get the Thai hot from them, and that will light you on fire.
I'm not quite there. I am not trying that. Psych Bear says, first time in this chat. What's the talk, guys? We're talking about black-eyed children. We're finding more and more reports of these coming in from all over the world. We're linking them into other sightings, and the original report from the United States seems to resonate somewhere around 1996 from a reporter from Abilene, Texas. However, that does predate the creepypasta, which is what some people seem to think the black-eyed children phenomenon is. I don't think it's a creepypasta. There's too much. Well, the little details are checking out. That's something I look for in cryptid sightings. I look for those little details, like the little behaviors, like in the cases when they say it was swaying from side to side, or how it throws rocks. Because watch how gorillas throw things. Gorillas are more than capable of throwing stuff, but they don't throw it like a baseball. They lob it underhand. So, and some of the sightings I've read involving Bigfoot, it was throwing rocks underhanded. So it's those little details that we're looking for the commonalities, and we seem to be finding linking elements in both Mexico, Japan, the United Kingdom, possibly Russia. So I think there is far more to this black-eyed kids phenomenon than just an urban legend or a creepypasta. Could it be, like when Lo and I were talking earlier, like could it be a tulpa? Could it be just because so many people started believing in it, they started having more sightings? But I don't think that's the case. I think it's something legitimately evil, and I think much like a lot of other weird phenomenon, most people just don't report it because they're going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Robbie, how many times have you seen weird shit on patrol and like that's not going in the report?
Well, let's see. I'm going to leave that out.
Yeah, I don't want to go take a whiz quiz in the morning, so I'm leaving that out of the report.
And one thing that I kind of wanted to touch on that I don't think anybody's even mentioned yet is there's a lot of stories of ghost children out there. There's a lot of ghost children stories out there.
Hitchhiker stories.
Yeah, and who's to say that all these stories aren't some of them the child or the ghost might have had black eyes. There's not a lot of confirmation on these. Like we could be dealing with something that's far more frequent than what we're seeing. But because the reports don't mention the black eyes, we don't know.
Mark Napier says, if you think about it, and if the children are possessed and you fought back against them and killed one and the demon leaves, you have to explain a dead kid in your house. And Monster Radio says, to play off the tulpa theory, if they are something evil, the tulpa effect could easily come into play. Evil grows in strength with more belief.
It's very, very true.
Yeah. These are all valid theories. I mean, but the thing about it is it's all we have on this is theory.
I mean,
that's the same thing with cryptids and UFOs. All we have is theories, but some of these theories make more sense than others when you really think about it.
If you think about it, that's what Freddy Krueger was. I mean, he was a dream demon, but he grew in strength.
Dreaming, if you will.
But he grew in strength the more people feared him and believed in him. So
Northwoods has got a good point. He says, weird is when a cop pulls somebody over to find they have a pig in their lap. He sent me that story in my email. I was like, yep, that's a new one. Weirdest thing I ever pulled over was a dude had a sex doll. Not one of the blow up ones either. One of the expensive
one of the robot ones.
Yep, had one in his back seat.
Me and my partner pulled a guy one time, and he had a fighting rooster in a cage in a trunk, and it got out of the cage. It was in the trunk by itself.
I ain't opening that.
That was a funny video without audio because you have no clue what's going on until you see that guy dive in the trunk of the car and come out with that rooster in his hand. Up until that point, though, it was like, what in the world's going on?
Kate Talk says, did I miss you guys talking about the famous case of the man in the car who saw them? He was on several TV shows. What year was that? Is the most famous one. Yeah, that's the Abilene reporter who saw them approach his car in 1996. That's what we kind of led off with, and it's also one of the most well-known documented case and one of the earliest that we have here in the United States. But again, I think some of these may date farther back. It's just people didn't report stuff like that because, I mean,
how do you?
Yeah, how do you? Hey neighbor, how you doing? You get checking your mail like, hey, did you have any weird kids with black eyes knock on your door last night? No, why?
Should I have?
Did you? Oh no. Just
it's June. What's going on here?
Yeah,
me neither. Just wanting to see if you did.
Just wanted to check. Seemed like the thing to do.
But
just taking a poll.
There's just so little information out there. But like I think Mark said it, you don't get anything from dead people. So that made me think, how many, like you said, unattended deaths that was heart attack or it was just listed as natural causes could have been something like that. It
reminds me of a time when I was working at the hospital. They ordered unattended deaths have to be investigated. If there's nobody there when the person dies, it has to be treated as a homicide till it's ruled out. So they autopsy the bodies on unattended deaths. And I had to help the coroner, not the coroner, the coroner had to help them move the body over onto the autopsy table. And we moved the bag over and he unzipped the bag. And the look of horror on the dead body's face is something that I constantly remember. It was an unattended death. We have no idea what the official cause of death on that one. Dr. Norton ruled it as a heart attack. But could something have scared the guy to death? Yeah, hell, I don't know. But the look on his face was like just wide-eyed, mouth open, face looked horrified.
When I worked security at a nursing home, we had one of those unattended deaths like that with one of the that place was one of those. I can't remember what you call it, but it started out. You got houses, and then it comes in with apartments, and then it comes in with the actual full blown nursing home part of it. So this woman lived in one of the apartments, and we got a call from daughter who lived out of state. Hadn't heard from mom in a day or two. It's unusual. Can you go check on her? So me and the other security guard go up there to check on her. We had master keys for all the apartments. So, we get into her apartment, and she had died, but she was in the chair, and she had kind of fell back and was laying like this with her head her feet were on the ground. Her butt was in the chair, and her head and arms were over the chair like that. So when we pulled the chair out, of course, she'd been there for a while, so she stayed in that position. But just like you said, that her eyes were wide open, and she was like that. And this was probably 94-ish. This was before I went to the academy, which was 96. So this was 94, 95. But that same look that you just talked about, and that would predate the article that we were talking about too.
Yeah.
So
there very well could be a case of something like that visiting people and them not surviving.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it until you start hearing stuff like this, because to me it was natural causes is what it was ruled.
Same with the one that Dr. Norton unzipped in the body bag. I'm until now thinking about the possibility of something scaring him to death or draining him of enough energy where he died. I didn't really put two and two together on that either. It was just one of those weird things. I thought that was a really creepy look on the guy's face, and kind of went on with my day.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple of detectives who went to unattended death calls to start the investigation, and said that in a couple of cases, there's one out by Republic where one of the detectives said, I don't know what it was about this place, but this was the creepiest place I've ever been. The whole time we were there, I just felt like we were being watched.
I've got another account of the black-eyed children here in the States.
Cool, shoot.
It doesn't say where. It doesn't even say what state. Man was spending his weekend camping in a remote location by the beach. He was preparing a fire when he was approached by two young men, possibly in their teens, asking if they could share his tent for the evening. The man had been alone in the woods when he last checked, so he immediately felt uncomfortable, especially when he saw the boy's eyes, which were, of course, black. He retreated into his tent, but for the remainder of the night, he was tortured and subjected to the begs of the boys wanting to be let in.
Wow. And that's why you camp with a firearm. That's bizarre. So would the threshold of a tent be the equivalent of the threshold of a home?
I don't see why not. It's a domicile. It's a residence. So I mean, it's
the what I always heard about the threshold of a home was it over the years it becomes charged with the positive energy of the families that live there. I don't know that a tent would have that, but I guess I don't know if that's where he felt like he was safe, his refuge. Maybe I don't know how the whole threshold thing works.
With these things, it doesn't seem necessarily about what they're into. Like, it doesn't seem to be necessarily about the home or where you're laying your head. It seems to be more about getting you to submit to them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It seems more about giving them power over you.
Mm-hmm. Overbuilt Automotive says DAX Machina, the extra manifesting of black-eyed kids, evil alien things could be caused by the inequity force, folks conjuring, practicing darkness. I'm not sure what that is, what inequity force is, but
I don't know what that means.
Huh.
Got another one here. One spring morning a few years back, my doorbell rang. I answered it. Standing in front of me was a boy, I'd say about the age of 15, and a girl who looked to be roughly the same age. Can I help you? I asked. Can we use your phone? The girl asked in response. No, I answered, and I shut the door. I slammed the door on these kids because although they seemed pleasant enough, they had black eyes. And I'm sorry, that's just way too much for me. I figured you guys may have heard something about this. Am I going completely insane or what? That was during an interview with I guess, paranormal radio. But apparently that's this guy's experience with them. So yeah, it looks like 2 teenagers showed up at this guy's house.
Yeah, I think what you said, Noah. I think it's not necessarily about what you're in, and be it a tent, be it a house. It's all about you giving your permission or giving them permission to take control over them or over you or whatever. Like if you don't submit to that or to give them that permission, then they don't have any power over you. But once you allow them in, that allows them in, so to speak. And
I think it's a power exchange.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not only are you letting them into the house, you're letting them into yourself, basically.
I think you're right. I think by inviting them in, you're inviting them into more than just your house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kim Anderson says it's a spiritual law. You have to give them permission to come in. Huh.
I don't know anything about that. I mean,
but it plays into the old vampire lore too.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Overbuilt Automotive says it's practicing evil, dark sin, so to speak, in general as a population on Earth, makes it easier for the dark ones to be messing with folks. Well, especially this time of year, the veil is thinner. We're in the days leading up to the Festival of Samhain, what everybody in America knows as Halloween, but it's actually a much older pagan holiday.
Yep.
But we'll talk more about that on Monday.
But I don't think it has to do. I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with what you're in, especially because there was that one who was approached outside just for water. You know, I think it may be giving them power over you, which the reason why I think that it may be demonic versus like a spirit thing is demons are always vying for power. They're always wanting power over who they're against, you know? Whereas some sort of spirit, you know, they're going to be trying to figure out ways to, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, with you, you know? Yeah. Versus demons, which are trying to get power over you. And what better way for them to get power over you than by, you know, establishing that they're the ones in charge, as it were.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that's 100%.
And I think children are the excellent, like the best vessel to do that because, like you said, it plays on your emotions, it plays on your empathy.
And look at it this way, from a standpoint of, you know, as an adult, you're supposed to have power over a child, but how would it feel as a demon, or how would it give credibility, whatever you want to look at it as, for a demon as a child to have dominion or control over an adult? It totally flips us. You know, demonology is all about flipping things on its head. That totally flips norms of who's supposed to be in charge on its head. You know, adults are supposed to be in charge. These things come in, they're demonic, and they flip it over and get control over you as a child. That may give them more status or rank or anything like that.
Right. And for me, man, like, you know, we have no real way of proving if it's a demon or anything like that. You know, if one of them showed up at my doorstep, yeah, sure, I can start spouting Latin at it to see if it reacts. But like, until that happens, we have no idea.
Right. Right. Martin Napier says, I know some won't want to hear this, but in the end times, these evil spirits grow stronger and will be seen and heard from much more often. Well, you know, without getting into a religious or a philosophical debate, there certainly seems to be a lot more sightings of strange things in the last couple of years.
It's definitely on the uptick. We've talked about that in other shows.
We're going to get all philosophical, man. We're going to take a long draw off of our cigarette and be like, man, these ghosts are getting active, bro. The end times are here.
Well, regardless of how you believe or what you believe, in the last 10 years, just look at how things have changed.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of the reports of it have to do with the advancement in communications. I mean, 10 years ago, we had smartphones, sure, but they weren't great, you know? 10 years before that, we had flip phones. That was it, Blackberries sometimes, so I mean, like we're talking like 2003. We'll round up 2003, right? What phone did you have, Robbie?
Probably a flip phone. I don't
Right,
even...
yeah. So I mean, like, what kind of picture are you gonna take on that? And it's like, oh, hey, there's a ghost or there's a Bigfoot over there. Let me snap a picture of that with my flip phone real quick. Yeah, you can count the pixels on this. What even is in this picture? You know what I mean?
I locked up again.
Yep.
Versus with a smartphone, right? You have these very, very good cameras that can paint a very clear picture of what you're looking at, right? And you could be like, hey.
And I totally agree with that. But even past that, though, if you were one of these demons, would you want to start manifesting 10 years ago or right now? Look at the way society is now. Society is way more susceptible, and, the way things are, the way people are nowadays, people are wishy-washy now. I mean, it is what it is. You can't, there's no other way to put it. I mean, 10 years ago, people had more of a backbone than they have now. And, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but not sorry. But that's the way it is. And people are a lot weaker now and more susceptible to that kind of stuff. I think that's why we're seeing a lot more of this now.
I think the reason for any sort of weakness towards it stems from complacency. I think we're falling away from the point in human evolution where we were afraid of these things. I mean, look at the uncanny valley effect. We've talked about this in great detail. There's a reason why human beings are afraid of something that looks vaguely human in the dark. There's a reason why we are evolutionarily scared of that. You know what I mean? So I think nowadays it's just, I think because people are losing faith in spirits, people are losing faith in not necessarily in the old ways, as it were, but people are losing that part. They're losing the fear of this like ancient power, so to speak. Like we're no longer as afraid of it as we once were, which is starting to make sightings and whatnot spark up again, because it's like they want us to be afraid of them.
Yeah.
Well, the more, if you want to use the term unafraid, but the more unafraid you are of them, or the more curious you are about stuff like that, the more susceptible you are to that being able to affect you. I mean, just take firearms, for example. When do you get hurt with firearms?
When you're being stupid with them.
When you're being stupid, you're not being careful, you're not being respectful. You're not, you don't have a healthy fear for, just like riding a motorcycle. When you take off on a motorcycle and you don't respect the power that those two wheels under you give you, you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this. If you don't respect that kind of power that's out there, and you don't have and I'm not saying reverence is in worshiping those kind of, but reverence is in, okay, I don't want to mess with this kind of stuff. I need to know what that's when people start getting hurt. That's when people start becoming more susceptible to this stuff. And that's why you're seeing this uptick, because people don't have that reverence, just like you said. They aren't scared of, they are scared, but they're not respectfully scared of what goes bump in the night anymore.
Right. And additionally, like we were talking about with demons, it's about power, so for you to have something that is constantly vying for power over people, if you're like, oh, I'm not scared of that, that doesn't frighten me, to the thing that's vying for power, that's a challenge. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, it is.
It's like,
well, no, it's like for example, up in Lexington, when we all saw that thing cross the road,
right?
We all four saw that.
Right.
That's not like I was driving alone down this country road and I saw it. We all 4 saw that, and it still freaks your mom out because she can't, we can't say with any degree of with certainty what it was, but I know what it wasn't. It wasn't
a
anything
deer.
I've ever seen before.
Wasn't
It
a
wasn't
mountain lion. I've
mountain
seen
lion.
mountain lions.
It wasn't a mountain lion. If it was a mountain lion, it probably weighed close to 700 pounds because its back was higher than the hood of my SUV.
He was huge. That thing was big.
And it made eye contact with us and watched us the whole time it crossed the road.
Yeah,
We were less than 50 yards away from it, and I was slowing down. And we observed this thing for a good long time because it crossed from one cornfield, crossed the road, and into another cornfield. And we saw it. We all saw it.
And like from what I saw, it had like a vaguely deer-shaped head.
Well, it's hard to say because the reflection of the eyes were so bright. You couldn't really see the shape of the head well. That's why I initially thought deer, but it was way too big to be a deer.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't side-eyeing us like a deer would, Like
there's a reason there's a phrase "deer in the headlights." If it'd been a deer, it would have frozen because it was looking right at us.
But it was looking right at us. It wasn't side-eyeing us like deer normally do. It was looking straight at us like a predator. Like that wasn't prey vision. That was predator vision. It was looking at us to see if we were a threat.
I was looking at its eyes. I don't remember seeing the tail, but I was talking to your mom about it last night.
I didn't see a tail.
She said she did, and it was a thick tail.
I didn't see a tail at all.
I didn't either, but again, I felt like it was looking right at me, and I was looking right back at it, and it almost like it was was challenging us, like I dare you to do something about this.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it was looking at you inside the vehicle? Idea.
What's that?
It looked like it was looking at us.
I was asking, you feel like it was looking at the vehicle, or it was actually looking at you inside the vehicle? Noah said he felt like it was looking at y'all inside the vehicle.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was looking at the car. It looked like it felt like it was looking at us, just like laser vision.
Northwoods Cryptid says, question DA, was that thing looking at you or looking through you? I felt like it was looking directly at me. Like it had specifically locked eyes with me. And that's why I don't remember seeing the tail. I remember seeing its body as it emerged from the corn, and it turned its head to look directly at us. And my brain initially said deer. But when it looked directly at me, I felt like it laser-focused eye contact with me as it crossed the road, like it was just daring me to do something about it. I just took my foot off the gas and was like letting the vehicle slow down naturally as I'm watching this thing. I mean, I maintained eye contact with it as it crossed the road, and the whole time I'm going, "What the hell is that? You guys see that?" And everybody in the car, Noah, my wife, Annette, and Connor, all 4 of us saw that thing, and I don't know. I want to say dog man, but I don't know. All I know for sure is I felt like it was laser focused on me, and I couldn't break eye contact with it until it entered the corn. It didn't. Chairman Meow says, so it looked like a huge deer, but was it huge? It didn't really look like a deer once I got a good look at it, because of it was like a grayish, like fawn color, but it was more darker gray than you usually see in deer in Missouri. But as it first started emerging, it had that kind of grayish color to it, and I immediately thought deer until it locked eyes with me. And after that point, I don't really recall any of the details but the head. I remember seeing it. It didn't walk like a deer. It didn't walk like a cat. It moved like a predator, but it didn't move like a cat. So there's no way it was a mountain lion, because if it was the biggest damn mountain lion I've ever seen.
Yeah, that thing was huge.
It was on all 4s, and my SUV comes up to the front of the hood, comes up to about my waist, and that thing probably came closer to my shoulder on all 4s.
I mean, and Missouri does have elk every now and then. Like we've had plenty of elk sightings, and we were far enough north in Missouri that the elk sightings that have happened are in that region. We've had moose sightings.
The only elk that have been reintroduced in Missouri are down by Eminence, Missouri. And they monitor those herds. I've never heard of elk in northern Missouri, Noah.
I've heard of elk and moose being sighted up there.
Moose?
Yep.
Well, that wasn't an elk and it wasn't a moose.
Certainly wasn't either of them.
It was not any ungulate I've ever seen.
Yeah, that and just the movement, like whenever it was dropping down into the corn again, it got low. It got low to the ground. Like I don't know what that was.
Yeah, it still freaks me out when I think about it. I wish I'd had my dash cam up and running. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Corey Cole says the eye contact is a tactic to detach you from your good senses. Yeah, I really felt like it was just staring me down the whole time.
Yeah, it felt like it was looking straight into the car at us.
Yeah, again, I can't say with 100% certainty what it was, but I can tell you what it wasn't.
Mark Napier asked, did you get the feeling of evil from it? Personally, I didn't. It felt like it was a predator.
Yeah,
it felt like
a
it was
predator.
hunting for something.
It was really close to a house, too. Where it went into the corn was like 40 yards from a house.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have gone back and talked to them during the day. Have you seen anything weird out here?
Yeah, I can't say anything for what it might have been. I mean,
considering how close we were to the horse ranch, it might have been what we heard walking around us in the trees.
Could have been. But I don't think it was evil. I don't. I think it was a predator. I think it was something that we're very concerned about at the very least. But
it didn't feel like something that was evil. It felt more like Noah said, it felt like it was a big predator.
It didn't.
And talked about that, about the difference between what we would consider just a dog man versus some kind of spirit or skinwalker or whatever that may manifest itself in the shape of a dog man, which would be what we would classify as a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the movie sense, but in the sense that it would be pure evil, whereas a dog man would just be, like Noah said, a predator that's out looking for whatever it can get.
I'm shutting a lot of my other browsers down. I'm just going to have this browser up because I keep getting like weird glitchy things happening.
I wonder if we could get a hold of some of the people who stayed there that night.
I talked to Krista about it and Brandy, and they said they've heard and seen weird stuff at that ranch almost every time they're out there.
I wonder if some of the other folks that were staying the night out there at the ranch might have seen or heard something.
Well, if he's in the audience tonight, I don't know if he is. David By, he was out there and he was at the Bigfoot thing too. In fact, he was sitting close to where your mom was at when whatever was throwing stuff at her and Krista. But I wonder if because David camped out there. I'd like to know if he heard or saw anything that night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody else that camped.
Also, wouldn't mind going out there and possibly interviewing the owners of the ranch, because the other folks who were there. Yeah, I know they were investigating, and I know they've probably interviewed the shit out of the ranch owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I really feel like their questions are probably very Bigfoot centered. You know what I mean? Or Dogman centered. Hey, have you seen any weird bipeds walking through the woods around here? But what happens if we open up with, hey, so we saw something weird on all fours walking near your property. What the hell was that?
Karen Peterson had a good point. She said, did it drop low and appear to flatten out as it ran? It seemed to get closer to the ground as it got into the corn.
It didn't run. It didn't run at all.
No.
It like locked eyes with us and dropped down low and then like slipped into the corn. And that's the last we saw it.
Yeah. And I had put my window part of the way down and I was listening and I didn't hear anything moving in the corn.
Yeah, I wonder if we could get a hold of the ranch owners and talk with them about it. I wonder if they've had any experiences with something like that.
I'll talk to Krista about that, see if we can make that happen. She knows them, and we were wanting to do another event there at the horse ranch here sometime in the near future. A bunch of us go up there and stay at the little cabins there and do some investigation around the ranch.
Mom's in the comment and said it's extremely weird. That's for sure. It was very strange. Like, I don't know.
Hey, babe, I didn't know you were listening.
You know, like, Dad, I know you've spent a lot of time in the woods, and I haven't spent a lot of time, but I've spent my fair share in the woods, and neither of us have any idea what that was. You know,
I've seen mountain lions in the wild. I've seen
been a lot
every
closer to a
species.
mountain lion than I care to ever be ever
Yeah.
again.
I've seen every species of ungulate on North America. That's all your big deer species.
Mhm.
Even buffalo, I've seen them. Well, in the case of buffalo, closer than I wanted to be. Um, I've seen mountain lions walk within 30 yards of camps that I was in. So I've seen all these animals in the wild, and this was none of them. I initially thought deer because of the size. Um, because in northern Missouri, deer can get fairly big because of
They
all the
get
corn.
pretty big, yeah.
That was not a deer. It was way too big. It didn't move like a deer. It didn't behave like a
Yeah, it
deer.
didn't behave at all. Like we've joked that it was a not deer before,
Yeah,
but I mean
I don't.
even then, like
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Yeah, I have no idea.
very very strange behavior. I
Chairman Mao, he says we've had some bears too. Not a bear.
yeah, certainly not a bear.
Definitely not a bear.
Certainly not a bear. I've seen enough bears to be able to look at that thing and be like, no.
Yeah, I've come practically nose to nose with grizzly bears before. I've seen dozens and dozens of black bear in the wild. This was no bear.
I got to pet a black bear at a
Hey, Sean Chester's in
at
the
an
house.
event
Sean
one time
Chester is
for
a
school.
fantastic author, good buddy of mine. He said, "What the creature's eyes look like when they hit the headlights? Luminescent,
Bright.
very
Bright.
bright, like greenish, almost white. They were green, but they were almost white. They were so washed out, bright, but had a greenish tint to them, and they were extremely bright. And again, it felt like they were laser. I felt like it was looking directly into my eyes.
Well, that
So I
definitely.
know that's hard to say because it was moving and we had the headlights bright. The headlights were on bright, and that the rogue's got some really bright headlights too. So the whole area was lit up really well.
Well, that green luminescence definitely says nocturnal predator because
Mhm.
only nocturnal predators have that kind of eye shine.
Yeah, Annette even agrees. Said very bright. Yeah, the eyes were extremely bright. By the way, hey Sean, I need to shoot you a message. I want to get you on the show again if you're up for it, brother. Guys, go to SeanChester.com. Check out his books. Sean's a fantastic author. Dude writes action like nobody else. I mean, he is a fantastic writer. Has some really fantastic books you guys need to check out. If you guys like my books, you're going to love Sean's. George
Yeah,
says he's going to bed. Good night, everybody. Good night, man.
Good night.
Good night, George.
George.
Karen Peterson says, "Did you find it hard to move when you saw it?" Well, I was driving, so I didn't feel like I was frozen in place. We were driving straight, but I felt like I stayed focused on its eyes the whole time it was moving across the road. Yeah, of course I was saying, what the hell is that? Do you guys see that? Am I the only one seeing this thing? Yeah, I was saying all of that crap and probably more, probably expletive laden. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do remember staring right into those eyes.
Yeah, no, it was certainly very very startling.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were looking at, but it wasn't anything I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. It was super weird.
Right. The size of it and the way it moves rules out pretty much any known animal in Missouri. Randy Mahoney says, "Did it show any emotion?" I couldn't tell you. Um, the whole head area seemed to be mostly obscured by the brightness of those eyes.
Mhm.
I didn't really get a good look at the shape of the head.
Before it turned its head towards us, I saw its head, and it looked vaguely like a deer's head. Like it was. It
Like
wasn't
the elongated snout kind of thing.
right. Yeah, yeah. It was
I didn't
a
see that.
longer, more angular head. You know, it wasn't the rounded head of a mountain lion. It was you know,
Or maybe like a wolf.
maybe that'd be a big ass wolf though.
Well, Dogman would be a big ass
And
wolf.
neither
I don't
you
know.
nor me saw a tail.
Well, your
Mom
mother
saw a
did.
tail. Here, let me text Connor. Let me see if he saw a tail.
Mark Napier says, so your cop senses didn't kick in? No, really, my only instinct was, slow the car down. What the hell is that? I can't really say my spidey sense was tingling or anything like that, but I was pretty happy I was armed. Um, I wish I'd have stopped and seen if I could have found tracks. But as we were driving past where it went into the corn, our only real thought was get the hell out of here.
Right? Yeah. It like the response from all of us was just, we need to go.
Yeah, Northwood says so. It was weird, but not a brown pants moment. No, I didn't feel like I was going to have to go shake one out of my pant leg when I stood up, but it was definitely freaking bizarre.
And
Yeah, your mom says she saw a tail.
And the thing is, right? Like, if it was the thing that was like sneaking around us, or like when we were at the Bigfoot bonfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have had to have been capable of like herking the rocks or whatever it was chucking at Mom.
Well, if it was a dog, man, it could definitely stand up and use hands.
Well, yeah. But like that would also be consistent with what Connor and I were hearing. We were the ones that were over there on the outlier, sitting on that log over there, and we would hear heavy footsteps in the woods behind us. And I'd kick the flashlight on and move it over, and it was just like nothing. There's nothing out there.
Little Patty's absolutely correct. I'm pretty sure your mom would have beat me severely about the head and shoulders if I'd have tried to stop and get out.
Yeah, it was just overall
if I hear any
weird
noises at night, I immediately get up and check it out. Too many break-ins and burglaries in town, and we live 10 miles out of town. Yeah, I don't blame you. There's been a lot of home invasion crime here in Springfield. Yeah, I sleep every night with a gun right next to me. Your mom says the head was wrong with the tail, and the eyes were very strange.
I'm looking at the species of wolves we get in Missouri, and they're not big enough. They don't get big enough.
Noah,
what?
How about? Let me see if I can. Yeah. How about this? Look at the color.
Oh.
Those are dire wolves.
I mean, suppose it's possible. I mean, dire wolves would be consistent. Like the wolves we get in Missouri are not nearly big enough to be.
Gray wolves don't get that big. That thing was easily probably the 400 to 500 pound range. It was big.
Yeah, we need to get the dash cam installed on the car. So if we see something like that again,
yeah, I may want to invest in a better dash cam because the one I bought's kind of a cheapie, but it does take some pretty good pictures. John Doe says dire wolves did not regularly get 500 pounds. True, but if my dire wolf theory is that dogmen evolved from dire wolves, it might. I don't know. Linda Bergman says, "Well, I wouldn't have stopped." Yeah, I think my wife would have murdered me if I tried to stop and get out and go look. But I kind of wish I had at the same time. At least get some pictures of tracks or something. But I could take you right to this exact spot. I mean, it's burned in my brain.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I definitely think like a large wolf type creature could be possible. But it did kind of have a haunched rear leg though. You know what I mean? Like kind of that like.
I don't remember the legs. I can't draw a clear image of them.
It had those like wider set thighs. You know what I mean? Like the haunched rear legs.
Like a dog.
Like so with dogs they're more kind of akin to a horse. Yeah, they were big.
It wasn't a horse.
Rear legs. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't a horse, but
actually the horse would have been taller.
Yeah.
Shy Dorsai says discretion's the better part of valor. Very true. Your mom says she remembers a bowed back.
Bowed back.
I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue.
Robbie, have we lost you, man? You just been
No,
sitting
I'm
there
still here.
quiet.
I was just letting y'all go because I wasn't there, so I was letting y'all go back and forth with that one.
I'll be right back. I need to refresh my browser.
Okay.
I do
Linda
kind of
Bergman
think.
Linda Bergman says, I've started keeping our pet door closed at night because of large coyotes and bobcats we've seen. There was a count near LBL of a guy who has said his dog was acting weird and found a dog man halfway through the dog door in his kitchen. Apparently, after he shot at it and when it ran off, he got a piece of plywood and permanently closed the dog door.
Yeah, I would have too.
Chairman Meow says, I'm just saying there's always freaks of nature that are animals that are larger or different or whatever. Yeah, again, I can't rule it out. I don't know what it was, but it acted like a predator.
Yeah, it could. I mean, animals can get gigantism just like people can, you know. So I mean, like, you know, we could have seen like an outlier mountain lion or something like that, you know.
Northwood says, well, DA, why can I picture your wife jumping behind the wheel and taking off, leaving you behind if you stopped and got out? Maybe.
And I mean, you know, gigantism can cause all sorts of like bodily defects, you know. So I mean, like, if that's the case, you know, if it was like a mountain lion with
gigantism,
like, yeah, with gigantism or something like that, you know, it may have, you know, it may have had an elongated snout as a result of it. It could have had this or that, you know.
Yeah. But
it certainly was very bothersome to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was very disconcerting. John Doe says, DA, check out my post in the Discord channel, other strange stuff. I'll check it out.
Well, you know, I've said.
Corey Cole says I would have built a guillotine above the dog door.
Be scared to go off when the dog was going through.
Story, though, that I thought it was a dog man that you saw that night, but
it definitely could have been.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, the thing is that's really not northern Missouri. That's more central Missouri. Kansas City's in mid Missouri. Because it's just east of Kansas City, about an hour. So, you know, it's really mid Missouri. It's right on the Missouri River. I mean, where we were at on the horse ranch, we were just a few hundred yards from the Missouri River. So that makes me really wonder, because I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about the topography of northern Missouri. I know it's mostly crops and stuff.
It's a lot of plains. Northern Missouri.
Mid Missouri is still kind of that Ozarks plain break, where it's kind of flat in some places, and it still has the Ozark Highlands in other places. Because the Ozark Plateau runs from near St. Louis to East Texas, basically, because the Kiamichi Mountains, the Ouachita Mountains are all offshoots of the Ozark Highlands. The Ozarks run all the way through southern Missouri down into parts of Oklahoma, a good chunk of Arkansas, all the way down to almost the Louisiana border with Texas. So that's all really the Ozarks Highlands. So, you know, I'm more familiar with the topography of the Ozarks than I am of northern Missouri, but that's really kind of right there at where the topography starts to change. I don't know, it's weird. John Doe says Amphision Ingens was a giant bear dog, unrelated to either, which weighed in excess of 1,000 pounds. Holy crap!
Which there's a few like renderings of what they might look like. Let me send you this image on Messenger.
Little Patty says, I'm an hour east of KC. Well, yeah, this was just outside Lexington, so you're probably very close to where this actually happened.
Yeah, there's a few renderings of what they look like, but look at that picture I just sent you. Does that not look like the same color?
I will have to open my Facebook again because I shut down everything but this browser.
I mean, you could open it up on your phone.
Oh, well, I already opened Facebook, so give me a second. Yeah, with the way the computer's acting, I was shutting everything down but the stream.
Yeah, what John Doe mentioned That's the amphibian. Yeah, whatever. The ambiguous dog, as it's.
That's a big son of a gun.
It's the right color for what we saw.
Well, yeah.
Kind of that tannish gray.
I'm gonna load that picture and put it on screen.
But existing for approximate. Wait, no. Wait, hold on.
There we go. And it's got the rounded tail that Annette was talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't remember seeing a tail, but it's also got legs that look almost feline.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's been extinct for like 20 million years, but
has it? Some of the newer science that's being done. Who was it that sent me that? Just a second. Let me pull that up. It was Norm. No, it wasn't. Give me just a second. Somebody sent me a thing that said a new study that has been done. I can't remember who sent me the article. A new study that's been done shows that megafauna existed far closer to modern times than people believe. Than the first initial studies led to believe. They think that some of the megafauna may have been around as recently as 20 to 25,000 years ago. So, could relic populations survive? Hell yes, they could.
Radiocarbon dating, which is what they use to date most of this stuff, has already been proven that is vastly unreliable as a source.
Well, some of the native tribes in Alaska have reported within the last century seeing woolly mammoths.
Well, yeah, look at the T-Rex bones that they found that still had
pieces of flesh on them.
Yeah, pieces of flesh on. That ain't lasting 25 million years. I'm sorry.
Right. So, is it possible that relic populations of megafauna are still walking around? I think that explains
I think so.
The Gugway. Let me see if I can find a picture of that megafauna baboon.
Well, why
that's known to exist on.
That just goes back. America. That goes back. Some people say that humans and dinosaurs never existed at the same time. But I always go back to the Inca stones. How in the world, if people didn't see these things, how did they know to put them on these Inca stones? It's stuff that, that could be a brontosaurus, a stegosaurus, a T-Rex, stuff. This is 6,000-7,000 years ago that these things were made, but yet there's almost identical renderings of what we would call a brontosaurus or a stegosaurus or a T-Rex or a iguanodon. Some of these things that, they didn't have the internet to just pull up, oh, yeah, that's what that is. So if they didn't see these things, how did they know to put these, or what they look like to put them on these stones?
Well, let me show you something that might terrify you. This I just found by looking for the megafauna. This is what they call Dinopithecus. This was the giant baboon species that they believed megafauna that lived here on North America. Now,
yep, it's
this thing evolved to start walking upright and lost the tail. How big would that thing be standing up?
That would
Gugway
be
size.
Gugway size, exactly.
And Gugway mean, Gugway nasty.
Yeah. That's kind of terrifying to think about. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that some type of megafauna may still exist in some of the more remote parts of North America. But the thing is what people fail to realize is even though there's some major cities in and around the Missouri area, there are still huge tracts of undeveloped land. And the Mark Twain National Forest alone is I think it's 25 million acres of timberland, and it runs right into the Ozark National Forest, which is just as big. And that basically runs from St. Louis to East Texas and connects right into the Big Thicket territory. So plenty of habitat.
It could be something that's just less evolved from the megafauna state. we've had alligators that were reaching almost freaking Sarco sizes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
the
is that what
large
they call? What do they call it? The one in
Gustav.
Africa, Gustav. They think that thing's
Yep.
30-some feet long.
Oh, the largest recorded alligator in the United States was 19 feet 3 inches long in Louisiana.
And that's before they started recording the sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's from when they started recording the sizes.
Right.
How big were they when the Cajuns first moved into that area?
They found an American crocodile in somewhere in one of the canals in Florida that was 17 feet, and those don't usually reach but about 12, 13 feet. So, the big ones are out there. So
James Luttrell says DNA has been extracted from the oldest bones in a viable condition. It's only viable up to about 20,000 years. So if they've extracted DNA from dinosaur bones, that's kind of terrifying.
Gustav is between 66 and 67 years old and weighs an estimated 2,000 pounds.
How big how long does it say they believe it is? One report I heard it was approaching 30 feet or something like that.
No, he's not that big.
Most of the reports has been like 22 to 23 feet.
According to this,
huge.
In excess of 18 feet. So I'd imagine a croc that big isn't allowing people to get close enough to measure him.
I would imagine
the zoologist that measured it, that was when they first started with they held the two lasers up at a known distance, and you get a picture of it that's when that first started coming out, because I've watched like several documentaries on Gustav, and the first one, it still wasn't as accurate as it is now, but the estimate was, like Noah said, was in excess of 18 feet. But the latest thing that they said he was possibly 22 to 23 feet, which is huge.
That thing had hit like a freight train too.
Yeah, but now
crocodiles can gallop.
But see, Lalong was bigger than that. Lalong was 20 and a half feet, but and that's known because he was actually captured and put in. But then they thought that he was the one that was killing those people, which he may have been. But after they caught him, they found one that was even bigger than him that was still out there. They never caught that one. But I mean, that's massive. I mean, you're talking close to 3 tons of. You just don't want to mess with that.
God no.
I mean, Lalong was measured to be approximately 20 feet 3 inches long and weighed 2,370 pounds and died of congestive heart failure.
He died of the same thing that the guy he was named after, the trapper that was after him, same thing that trapper died of right before they trapped him.
What a coincidence.
Ronnie Sue Miller, and I can't remember what the other guy's name was, but his last name was Lalong, and they named the crocodile after him. So that's where it got its name.
Gustav is known for allegedly killing 300 people.
Is Gustav still out there?
Hmm?
So 300 people that they know of.
According to Wikipedia, Gustav is a large male Nile crocodile.
Some people say they've seen him out there. Some people say that nobody's been killed in a while and nobody's seen him. But I guess it just depends on who you believe. Because the last documentary that I saw said that he was pushing 100 years old at that point, which this documentary was only like 5 or 6 years ago. So he was pushing 100 years old at that point. So they said, he still could be alive, but he may be dead now. Nobody really knows.
Gustav was hatched in 55.
How old do crocodilians get?
Nobody really knows for sure.
I mean,
well, we know the species can interbreed, and people are releasing animals into the wild all the time out in Florida. So what happens if people release Nile crocodiles out there and they start interbreeding with the alligator population, and we get something big and aggressive?
start breeding sarcos or dinos back in.
Yeah.
Well, like was it the Sarcosuchus was the big crocodile, but the Dinosuchus was actually the big alligator looking way. It had the big broader snout.
Mhm.
And I watched a documentary one time that said that there's a possibility that some of those are still around in some of these deeper swampy areas that just because there's always you listen to Cajun, there's always stories of these big ones out there that are bigger than any of the boats that are out there hunting them. So I mean,
Can you imagine running up on a 20, 24, 25-foot alligator in a P-row?
nope.
Well, the largest crocodilian to ever exist was the Sarcosuchus imperator, which could reach excess of 41 feet.
Oh my God!
That's the
I'd
one
hate
they
for that
call
to still be out there.
that's the one they call the Dino Killer, I think,
Yeah,
or the T-Rex
that thing.
Killer.
Yeah, that thing would be the megalodon of alligators.
Yeah.
The
Corey Cole says, my friend Jason Lee held the Louisiana gator record for years. They go by weight. He said it pulled the bait tree down into the water and they almost didn't find it.
there was also the Purosaurus brasiliensis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But it was native to what is now South America. Also excess of 41 feet.
Jesus. Corey Cole says Jason said they had to tie 2 P-rows together side by side to haul it out.
Yeah, I already don't really like gators that much, and I would hate to see one that was in excess of 41 feet in length.
Well, there was that movie your mom and I watched not too long ago, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was set in Australia, and it was based on a true story about
Rogue.
a saltwater rogue. Yeah, it was about a saltwater crocodile that attacked a boat full of tourists, and it ate several of them.
Yep.
Actually, it ate most of them.
Yeah, I think 2
That was
people
based
came
on
out
a
of
true
that.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was practically a freaking Sarco. It was like, I want to say it was like 22, 23 feet long at the end when they were doing the disclaimers. Said when it was killed and hauled in, it was like 23 feet long, I think.
Jesus.
And see, that would be a salty out there, which
Mhm.
are bigger and more aggressive than Niles.
John Doe says, DA, if you'd like, one of my primary interests is prehistory, so I can talk at length about most subjects. Sure, yeah, we can talk about some of these prehistoric and megafauna animals. I would definitely like that. Chairman Meow says A10 goes brrr.
I mean,
Titanoboa.
at that point, I don't want to be close enough to a gator that size. A10 or some sort of attacker would be the approach. But fun fact
Tombstone.
about the
Go ahead, Don.
I was gonna say fun fact about the Titanoboa is most modern research indicates that it was mostly an herbivore.
What? How can you support that much body weight as an herbivore?
It ate some meat, but it mostly relied on herbs. That's what I was reading just the other day.
Tombstone says Cassius is a pretty big
It would
guy
go
here
underwater.
in captivity. 18 feet, last check, approximately 110 years old. Tombstone lives in Australia. Tomb, do you know anything about the actual story behind the movie Rogue, about that salty that was killing tourists? If you've got any information on that, brother, I'd like to hear it because I'd like to hear the real data behind it as opposed to what they said on a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous there's Brutus and Cassius,
Mhm.
and there's
Well,
another one, Dominator.
There's some of those billabongs and rivers in Australia. They
Oh,
tell
yeah.
people don't swim in there, and it's not
correct me
because
if I'm
you're
wrong,
going
but
to drown. It's because you're going to get ate.
I think Brutus and Dominator are on the Adelaide River, if I'm not mistaken. That they are in the same territory as each other, and there's actually a boat tour that goes out. Like I said, I might be wrong on the river, but I think it's the Adelaide River. But there's a boat tour that goes out, and they're both probably 18 plus feet. But Brutus has got one of his front legs, part of it missing. But Dominator is actually bigger than Brutus now, and they actually vie for territory. There's video of them two coming up to the boat at the same time to kind of vie for the bait. You think about being in a boat to 18 plus feet crocodile coming up.
Yeah, and besides, when it gets bored of chicken, the tourist is on the menu.
Exactly.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Yeah, that would be a rough time.
One of them's asking for meat back on the menu, and the other one's going, "What about their legs? They don't need those."
I don't know, man. I don't want to come into any sort of contact with an alligator, much less anything bigger than an alligator.
Here's the $50 question: How did we go from black-eyed children to crocodiles?
With this show, anything's possible.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
I'm about to say,
yeah, we only loosely adhere to the topic.
Yeah, I was about to say this is nothing new.
We should do a show just on big crocodiles and alligators, specifically the Deinosuchus and the Sarcosuchus, and the possibility that some of them might still be out there. We should do that. Yeah. Tombstone says the Rogue movie was definitely exaggerated. I figured it was. Mark Napier says the reason Gustav was so big, terrorists were feeding people to it.
That's true. That was during all that Civil War.
Like somebody, hey, let's go down to the river and do some fishing.
I mean, if we had a gator that big or a crocodile that big around here, I mean, you really expect that the mob wouldn't be using that for disposal?
I use hog farms instead. Well, it makes you wonder how many people disappeared in the swamps down in Louisiana and got fed to the gators.
But that's wasn't always just people just going down there and doing it. The warlords just throwing people in there. Like I said, there was a civil war going on, and there was just a lot of bodies in the water.
Yeah, Meg, I saw that. I was reading it. He said the movie was definitely exaggerated. I figured it was. Most movies are. Shoot, we're coming up on. We're already past the 2-hour mark. Toom says it was based on the Big Salty Sweetheart from the 70s. He never apparently attacked anyone, but it's a big tourist attraction. So the whole movie was made up. So it was based very loosely on a true story. Very loosely,
yeah. There was a dolphin, I think it was, in South America at one point. That was a big tourist attraction, but people kept being dicks to it. And one day it just absolutely snapped and started killing people.
A dolphin?
Yeah, well, they kill people. It would drag people out into the ocean and drown them. I was watching a video about it, and then I read up on it just the other day. Apparently, people were putting stuff in its blowhole and stuff, and it finally just got tired of it and would bait people into coming over to it and grabbing a hold of it, and it would just swim them out into the ocean.
Dive deep.
People have said dolphins are like the psychopaths of the ocean. They're really psychotic.
Incredibly intelligent. They're incredibly intelligent.
John says dolphins are capable of killing sharks. I've seen footage of killer whales messing up sharks.
I've seen footage of killer whales punting seals into the stratosphere before.
Well,
and apparently they just do it because they're dicks. Apparently, they research why they do that.
If you watch any of Shark Week, False Bay and Hunts Bay, where all the big time shark sighting or shark cage diving and all that stuff, it almost went, pardon the pun, belly up because they had 2 killer whales, port and starboard, and they called them that because one fin would bend to port and one was bending to starboard. But they pretty much almost wiped out the great white population because great whites will, or not great whites, killer whales will eat the shark's liver, and there was great white sharks washing up on the shore constantly.
Big chunks out of their side.
Yeah, and these 2 killer whales were going around and that's all that's all they were eating. And I can't remember what the number they said that they took, but it completely drove the population of great whites away, which was a big time part of the tourist economy.
So here's something I just saw a video on the other day, and this will make you worry. There was a Norwegian fishing boat got footage of a beluga whale that kept coming up to the boat and was being playful and friendly. So they were feeding it to get it in closer, and when they realized something was wrong, the beluga whale was wearing a harness that was tightly attached to it with clips, and the writing on the harness was in Russian.
Yikes.
So the Norwegian military is very interested in finding that beluga.
Weaponized beluga whales. Let's go.
Well, they're intelligent. They can be trained.
All dolphins, killer whales, belugas, they're all extremely intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And they call them killer whales, but they're not actually whales. They're dolphins.
Right, yeah.
And can you imagine what a pod of killer whales could do if they were weaponized?
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's another topic for another show. Again, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up, but we've got some fantastic ideas for future shows. We've got giant crocodilians. We've got weaponized cetaceans. I think we've got some fascinating shows coming up. So, also I need to get with Ryan because we're going to definitely be doing a show about the Genosqua and the mountain giants. We've been doing a lot of different weird things leading up to the Halloween show, but after Halloween, we are going to get back into we're going to dance with the girl what brought us to the dance. So we're going to get back to doing a lot more cryptid stuff. But we've been doing a lot of monster stuff, a lot of creepy stuff leading up to Halloween, and that's kind of a tradition we'll probably continue in the month of October and years to come. So yeah, we've had a good time doing the monster stuff, and I hope you guys will join us Monday night when we do the Festival of Samhain. We are going to talk about the pagan roots of Halloween and the more terrifying and sinister aspects of it. Not just the great holiday here in the States where we go around and get candy. And I've trick or treated more. I've got a bunch of candy laying around. I got some paydays and more peanut butter cups and some of my favorite Tootsie Roll Pops. So I've got a bunch of candy I stole. So if hopefully my wife's not watching and knows I raided the candy again.
Speaking of the paydays, earlier Dad pulled out a payday and I was like, where the hell did you get that? And he's like, oh, I got it off the table. And he took a bite and he had that look like he was analyzing the flavor of whiskey. He's like sitting there like, and I'm just like, what, are you about to tell me that it has, you're detecting notes of peanut?
I wasn't even thinking about the payday. I was thinking about something else.
I would have laughed my ass off if you had just been like, I'm getting the slight flavor of salt here. They'd be like, yeah, okay, no
salt.
Shit.
Yeah, no shit. You tasted salt. It's a freaking salty ass candy bar. Well, folks, we've had a great time talking about this, and we definitely have loaded ourselves up with material for shows in the next few weeks. We'll have to make sure we do it on a night Noah can join us, because I would definitely want him on the Sarco show because he's very interested in the Sarcosaurus. We've talked about it quite a bit. We'll hopefully Anthony will be feeling better. So you guys, make sure you say a prayer for Anthony because he's not feeling well. He's actually pretty sick. I've been telling him to go to urgent care, and he said if he's not better by Monday, he's going to. Noah, I always love having you on the show because you bring such a wild perspective. Plug your show.
I'm insane.
Yes, you are insane. Well, you are my son, so yeah. Apple didn't fall far from that tree.
Okay.
Plug your show. Tell them where to find you.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jorgamunder. I'm his, not his son. Cameras.
That one.
Cameras suck, man. Mirrors are the worst. His son. But I do streams over on Twitch. I upload a video to YouTube every Friday. It's mostly gaming content. Sometimes we'll sit there and just chat about stuff. Occasionally ghosts, spirits, monsters, that sort of thing. But for this month, I've been playing a lot of not necessarily exclusively horror games, but games that include stuff that will creep us out or stuff like that. Last night I was playing Subnautica towards the end. I was playing Grounded at the beginning because, fun fact about me, I am a horrendous arachnophobe, and giant spiders are not a very fond nightmare that I have. But yeah, you guys can find me over on Twitch. There was the link that Dad just threw up, twitch.tv/Jorgamunder for those.
Yeah, I'll put it back up there. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, my name was on the screen there, but yeah, there, twitch.tv/Jorgamunder. Over there, you can find me. We do a lot of goofy stuff, have a good time, and just kind of banter with each other all night, goof off, all that fun stuff. But I mean, other than that, I don't put a lot of content anywhere else, so it's just Twitch and YouTube at this point. I used to do some TikTok stuff, but it was all just clips and whatnot. So that's
Robbie?
me.
Robbie, tell us about your channel.
My channel is What's Really Out There. We've got up till November 11th, as it stands right now. We've got a show coming out every Monday and Friday at 8 a.m. We talk about everything from UFOs to cryptids to, the Mandela effect. Pretty much anything that we talk about on this show is a possibility we'll talk about on the other show. But myself, Norm, and Johnny try to get stuff from the upstate, but we get stuff from all over, and we break it down from the perspective of where does the evidence lead us? How could this, the things that DA and I would do as police officers, looking at the evidence, breaking it down, and just seeing what things.
What's the name of the podcast, Robbie?
What's Really Out There?
There we go.
And I thought I said that at first. I'm sorry. I must have got.
No,
I must have got
you
started.
just started talking.
No, he did. I heard it.
Did he? I thought I missed it.
Yeah. I heard you say it, Robbie. I heard you say it. Especially because you were like, my show's What's Really Out There, and at first I was like, is he making a slide at me? My show's the one that's really out there.
But yes, my show is What's Really Out There, and if you got anything you want us to look into, any stories you want us to read, you can send us an email at What's Really Out There 2022@gmail.com. If you don't want to have your name used, just let us know in the email. If you don't care, then let us know. Or if you want to come on the show, we can get you on the show and have you tell your story there too. We're recorded. We're not live like we are here on this show. So, but every Monday and Friday is our release schedule for that. We usually record them on Tuesdays and release them on Mondays and Fridays.
Awesome.
Real quick, I want to touch on that. Mark Napier said, "Don't watch Eight-Legged Freaks." Then no, I've actually watched that movie. I don't hate that movie. It's really stupid though.
Yeah, this is a pretty goofy movie.
It's a goofy, dumb movie, but it's kind of fun.
The giant funnel web spiders pulling cows in. Those cracks me up.
For me, like my thing is like I don't like having spider webs on me, and I don't like seeing spiders coming right at me. And Grounded does both of those things, and it terrifies me. But I mean, like, I've held a tarantula before. Tarantulas actually don't frighten me all that much. It's mostly the web slinging spiders, the ones that produce webs.
Like that giant ass wolf spider in the kitchen that night.
Yeah, that one frightened the shit out. Well, actually, I don't think wolf spiders produce webs, do they?
No, it wasn't in a web. It was on the dishwasher.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think it was the suddenness of there just being a big ass wolf spider in our kitchen.
I tried to kick it. It was like on the cabinet right next to the dishwasher, and I kicked it and missed it, and it kind of puffed up like I pissed it off.
Instead of running, it just took defensive stance at him. It just reared up its front
mess
legs.
You up, old man. My second kick rather smushed it, but it had an audible crunch to it. I mean, it was this big around.
It was a big wolf spider.
I considered shooting it. It was big enough. Yeah. How about Arachnophobia, Noah? Did you ever watch that?
I don't think I've watched that one.
That's a good one.
You know what? Okay, so you know what also frightens me? Strangely, well, actually not strangely. I feel like they kind of coincide with each other. Crawling ghosts, or just like anytime you see like a demon movie or a ghost movie where they're like crawling. Yeah, those freak me out. Hate them so much. Especially if they're like crawling in the walls or something like that. Ah, Jesus. I'll watch them. I love being scared of those movies.
When we're crawling down the steps.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
doing the
Tim
crab
says you'll
walk.
need your weapons down there. You guys get those bird-eating spiders down there. Any spider big enough to eat mammals? Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to waste any time trying to squish it. I'm shooting it, or bringing a
Well,
flamethrower.
the Goliath
Well,
bird eater is a species of tarantula. Like I probably would be fine with it. They
No, not me. No, that's nightmare fuel.
Or I've heard the funnel web spider could just about bite your toenail off, but it could definitely
Yeah.
stick its fangs through your toenail.
we
Or
we
the
get
banana
funnel web
spider.
spiders
See, I
around
just-
here.
The
I don't.
banana spider. How many people do the banana spiders kill every year?
Yeah.
Holy
When I was in
crap, I was trying to
culinary,
wrap this show up, and now we're off on a tangent about spiders. Only on this show, folks. Only on this show. You get an Ozarks goodbye. We're going to say goodnight, folks. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to talk about this for 20 more minutes. No, okay, time to say goodbye. Oh, no. We're going to talk about this for 20 more minutes. It's definitely an Ozarks goodnight.
oh yeah.
And I'm not even from the Ozarks, and I just fall right in.
Might not be Ozarks might not be the right word. A hillbilly goodnight.
There you go. Because, I'm close enough to the Appalachians, so.
Got that hillbilly gene in there somewhere.
Hillbilly Jean is not my lover.
Oh,
That's funny.
Wrong. It's not my cousin.
Oh God. Oh man.
We're not in Arkansas, folks, but we are close enough to hear the banjo music.
What I was gonna say a minute ago is when I was in culinary, like we would actually like cut up the bananas and wear gloves anytime we were using bananas in any of our cooking. Like we would use a knife and cut the skin off of the banana and like peel it off segment by segment because just of the constant threat of there being a banana spider.
Yeah,
Like
I'm sorry. If there's a banana spider, I'm going to back off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be
We
sure.
had one in one of my classes. Like, one of the teams was like chopping up the banana, and like one of them screamed and stepped back, and the teacher was like, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" And she's like, "There's a spider," and the teacher's like, "Everyone get back."
Whew.
She said, "We're throwing out the banana," and she went and grabbed Spider Killer and just hosed that bastard.
Yeah.
Shy Dorsai says there are giant spider cryptid stories in the southeast. Yes, there are. God dang it, we get another show now. Giant spider stories.
Woo! I'll be there for that one.
I gotta make sure I write all these down as soon as we get off the air.
You can hear me be terrified of spiders. Who's ready for that, chat?
Yeah, I've heard some of those cryptid stories about giant spiders,
I'm right there with you, Noah.
like the size of house pets.
Here, Robbie, give me a fist bump here, buddy. Yeah, there we go.
All the way from South Crackalacky to Missouri.
That actually worked out pretty good.
That did work pretty good. It's almost like you two planned that.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. Or at least we're all stuck in the same rut. I always tell everybody, of course my mind's in the gutter, it's with the rest of my body.
Well, hey,
Or
I got plenty of buddies that were in Afghanistan that tell horror stories.
camel
about
spiders.
this. Yep, them things.
We get camel spiders in the United States too, and
It's a
Arizona and New
different species.
Mexico. Yep.
Exactly why I'm not going to Arizona or New Mexico.
And actually Nevada as well. I've heard about a species of camel spiders that are crossbred with bark scorpions.
Oh, that's terrifying. I hate
Yeah.
scorpions too.
Bark
Yeah.
scorpions have like the worst venom. And it's
I
like-
hate scorpions.
Good God, you know.
Yeah,
Again, we're trying to wrap things up here. Oh my God.
Well, you know, now we got 2 minutes until 2.5 hours. Roll out.
Before we go, I do want to make sure you guys remember, check out the awesome blades from Scallywagtactical.com. They've got some wonderful blades on sale right now, some as low as $12. And if you're guys like shaving with a straight razor, they have one right now called the Shaver. It is a straight razor, and it's on sale for $14. Beautiful straight razor. I'm going to take it up and show it to and have my barber actually shave my head with it if he doesn't mind using my razor. Yeah, check out the awesome folks over at Scallywag Tactical. They're a veteran-owned business. The bulk of their blades are made right here in the United States. They do outsource some of the lower end blades, but the bulk of their blades are crafted right here in the United States. Some of the best knives I have ever owned. My everyday carry is one that they call the Jolly Roger. I carry this knife everywhere. I cut everything from boxes to wire with this thing, and it has not even dulled the edge.
He always tells me the reason why he keeps it on him is in case there's cheesecake somewhere we go.
Yeah, somebody might need stabbed, or there could be cheesecake. But yeah, check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. I'm in the process of getting them set up with a partnership link, where I can post a link and you guys can get a discount through this channel and buy directly from them. So that's hopefully coming in the very near future. Also, I know Doc's not here tonight, and I hope he's having a good time down in Florida. We had a good time without him. But check out the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical. And if you use the code Cryptid25, you get 25% off your order. That is the best discount they offer. That is also another veteran-owned company. Products are made right here in the United States. Best medical kits money can buy. I've trusted my life to Dark Angel Medical Kits for a long time, and I will continue to do so.
Every time me and the guys go to the range, we bring one of your Dark Angel Medical Kits with us.
Make sure they take one of the trauma kits.
I carry one on my duty vest every day I'm at work.
And they are worth every cent. It's also the Kit for Life guarantee. If you use that kit to save a life, even your own, they will replace the contents that you have used for free for the life of the kit.
Dude, I think, anybody should replace the trauma kit. If you use the trauma kit to save your own life, that's bragging rights right there.
There's no other company that I know of that has the Kit for Life guarantee that will restock the kit for free. It means if you use the tourniquet, if you use the gauze, the Israeli bandages, whatever you use, they will replace it for free. Again, folks, those are just two fine examples of veteran-owned businesses. Right here in the United States, guys that have put their butt on the line for our country, and I definitely want to support their businesses. So check them out and look for us having a discount code from Scallywag Tactical in the very near future. So we've had a great time tonight, folks. We've managed to stay for the most part on topic, except for the last hour or so. Then we were down the rabbit hole in multiple different directions. But we've got some ideas for some great shows coming up in the very near future. For the arachnophobe and Noah, he's going to love that one. I think we're going to have a good time with some of these. And look for us after the Halloween show. Again, join us Monday night from 8 to 10, our normal time on Halloween night, where we will be discussing the dark, twisted history behind the Festival of Samhain. Again, thank you guys for joining us. We've had an awesome time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are at 3,400 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit 5,000. I know we can do it with you guys' help. If you guys help share the channel and share these videos with your friends that enjoy this kind of content, I think 5,000 is a reasonable one we can hit in the very near future. Monday night's going to be a lot of fun. I will be doing some trick-or-treat candy, and I will be doing a few trick-or-treats myself. We'll do some random giveaways on the Monday night show. I'm not going to say what just yet, but there might be a book or two or some audio codes, and maybe even a couple of patches thrown in. Who knows? We'll see. But we'll probably give away 4 or 5 things on Monday night on the show. So I hope you guys will join us. We'll be doing a little trick-or-treating ourselves.
And another thing, all y'all that like this show, make sure you invite other people to come.
Oh, definitely.
To the show. I mean, word of mouth, that's how we get people in here.
And make sure you like the video, because the more likes we get, the more the video will appear in the YouTube algorithm. So that's how we reach more people. That's how people that are searching for shows like this will find ours popping up in their feed. And it's all based on the number of likes and views that a video gets on the Facebook algorithm. So hit that like, hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button. If you feel so inclined, hit the join button. You can join the channel and get exclusive content, or you can join over at the Patreon community at patreon.com/DA Roberts Author and help shape the future of the DA Roberts universe, or the DA verse, as it's called. We've got a lot of books in the future coming out. I hope you'll check all of my work out over at daroberts.net. Again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. We had a hell of a good time. Laughed our butts off a few times. Hopefully, I'll have the glitches worked out on my computer before too terribly long. And
Working on it.
And I'll stop doing the weird freeze for 20, 30 seconds at a time. So we're not 100% out of the woods yet with the computer, but we are working toward it. Again, folks, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical and at darkangelmedical.com. And I'm sure they would very much appreciate it. And I just want to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you spending the night with us and having a good time and laughing and all the input we get from the chat. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys, each and every one. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We don't have friends. We don't have fans. We have friends. And again, stories are journeys that we take together. And I want to thank each and every one of you for choosing to take that journey with us, because this journey has taken us to some interesting places, and it's going to take us to more. Noah, go ahead and mention where they can catch your show at.
Oh, yeah. Guys, I forgot to mention earlier when I go live. I go live every night, save for Wednesdays and Saturdays. He's live on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so it kind of coincides with itself, you know? But I go live every night at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we're currently having our best month on Twitch right now. So if you guys came over, I'd love to see you guys. If you guys got Twitch, come give me a follow. I appreciate it.
Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you have a free subscription that you can give to a Twitch streamer. So if you've got Amazon Prime and you haven't used that Twitch sub, head over to twitch.tv/Jorgamunder and give him your subscription. I'm sure he would very much.
I would be very appreciative.
So again, if you've got Amazon Prime, you've got one for free to throw out there, because Amazon owns Twitch. Again, thank you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. We've had an awesome time, a wonderful evening talking about black-eyed kids, and we managed to stay mostly on topic, which is unusual for us. But we did digress quite a bit.
At least we stayed on horror.
Yeah, we did stay in the terrifying theme. But we've got some subjects for some upcoming shows. Watch for those in the coming weeks. And we were thankful for each and every one of you spending your time with us. Hope you guys have a blessed evening, a wonderful weekend, and hopefully you will all join us on Monday night, where things will be spooky scary. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.